Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis coming to you from the Drew Estate Studio, and with me today is John McTavish from the Powstanie Studio. How you doing, John?
Doing well. Happy to be home, but I think we kind of talked about it on the last day. There's sort of this element of melancholiness in the last day where you're like, where did the last 4 days go? We come down a day early to sort of maximize the experience, and then you're like, oh man, I got to do another trade show. But then by the last day, you're like, oh man, I kind of want to go home. It's kind of fun hanging out, and obviously going back to work in the real world is not quite as fun as smoking cigars and talking crap all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a bit different for the exhibitors and the retailers that can't wait
A
for
little
it to
bit.
be kind of be over. But yeah, like after day one, I'm like, oh man, 33% of the way done. This is already going downhill, like
Yeah.
running out of time. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. So gotta take the time you can and see who you can. And every year, miss a bunch of people that we couldn't see, but uh, you know, keep moving forward. All right, so this is our annual PCA recap show where we get together with a few different friends from different areas of the industry so that we can kind of discuss how the show went from different points of view and kind of get a feel for what went well, what didn't go well, find out things that maybe that we didn't get to see or didn't hear and things like that that people have in other conversations. So it's always a learning experience for us, and hopefully it's a learning experience for everybody watching or listening to this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody on the panel today. I'm just going to start from how I see them on my screen and kind of start from the top. Jay Davis, Blue Smoke of Dallas, retailer in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, Jay?
Very good.
Thank you for being on the show again. This is the same panel that we had last year, so it's like a perfect mix again. So it's like we got the same group. It works out well. All right, next from Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, Mr. Steve Saka. Steve, how you doing?
Breathing.
Beautiful. That's what we need. We need you breathing here. So next is William Cooper from Cigar-Coop. How you doing, Coop?
Hey, Aaron. Well, interesting day today for me, as you know, with
Yep,
baseball.
yep,
So,
yep, exactly.
reeling a bit. So it
Yep.
changes.
It's okay. Change is good. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's a change out in the ether, so it's not going to have a real effect in your life, but hopefully for the better. So,
Hopefully for the better. Exactly. It hasn't been
yep.
good the last few months.
And last but not least, Mr. Mike Szczepankiewicz from Cigar Hustler and Postania. How you doing, Mike?
We're doing fantastic. So good to see you, Mr. Loomis.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I know you're
Thank you
not
for having.
feeling the
Wow,
best,
you
so
really have to show me up even in your intro hello, don't you?
Fuck yeah, and everything.
yes, I think we were
Let's
kind of talking
go.
before the show. A bunch of us had kind of different stages of sickness, going in, coming out, all that kind of stuff. So, but we've all made it here, so that's a good thing. Um, so kind of how we like to start it off is kind of talking about how things were going for us, kind of leading into the trade show. Maybe what our outlook was, or the vibe of things going in. We seem to always have something that kind of happens right before the trade show, whether it's good or bad. So, and I think this year it was the definition of what a premium cigar was kind of
Ooh,
the thing that popped up. I don't know that it really had that big of a effect on anything. Maybe for a positive, but it was kind of low on the list. But I'd be curious anybody's thoughts about that ruling, if that moves the needle for anybody up or down. Um,
I think
yeah,
that the fact that the upper court kicked it back to Meta to finalize a description when he already did that in his previous ruling was kind of it was kind of a slam dunk that really it wasn't likely to change.
yeah,
So I think that the outcome was kind of expected, even though certain areas of our industry were fighting hard the other way to try to expand it to flavors and quasi some machine portion, yada yada yada. Um, yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't know that I would table it in the context of it being a win. I think a broader, I think less regulation just in general is better. All of our consumers are adult. They're all verified ID wise. They all know what they're getting into. So I would be okay with an expanded definition. So I kind of feel for those guys, but I think for most of us on the premium handmade side, it was kind of just kind of a status quo of what we pretty much had been given a couple years back.
right.
Yeah, Steve, I agree with Steve on that. It was more like they dodged the bullet that they didn't have to get a modified definition, which I think would have had it probably would have had more ramifications on that. So it was kind of good, but nonetheless, the industry is going to take it as a win, and it's not a negative by any means.
Oh,
So
no.
I think it was a positive going into the show.
Jay, what do you got?
I mean, yeah, it was the same ruling they had, what, 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, uh, One thing that sort of just lurks in the back of my mind is we have this victory about what a premium cigar is, and yet a lot of these premium cigar manufacturers are making flavored cigarillos, or they're adding sweet tips, and I don't even know if that's considered a characterizing flavor. And then there's a whole pipe tobacco thing. So it's interesting. It's almost like
I
some of
don't
these guys
think
want to
that
be
I don't think
regulated.
sweet tips are protected under the meta ruling. I don't think any sort of flavoring is protected under the ruling. I don't think that my Stillwell Star with the pipe tobacco is protected under the ruling.
That's a problem.
But I think part of it is that it doesn't even matter what the ruling is because the FDA has totally backed off under the current administration. So therefore, there is this window of opportunity. Now, for us, we're not out of the woods. I mean, it's not like we're free forever. Meta basically just kicked the can to where Congress has to kind of start over again. The FDA has to start over again, right? So if they want to climb that hill again, they can climb that hill. It's unlikely given their recent experience, but you know how this works. Give them time. There'll be new administrations and new heads of FDA and new people at CTP, and this will be an ongoing issue for pretty much forever. And I think that's the reason why companies feel like myself included. Why did I launch a sweet tip cigar, revamp a sweet tip cigar, right? Because I feel as though I have some cover for a little while. But ultimately, yeah, I don't know. I think that's the reason why you see it. Look, there's consumers for the product, right? And we're in an industry that tries to put things in boxes that people want to buy.
Mm.
And retailers want to put things on their shelves that consumers want to buy. Now, whether you like acid, you don't like acid, you like Stillwell, you don't like Stillwell, you like whatever the new cigarillo is, it's kind of irrelevant if the consumers want it, right? So
Mhm.
therefore, as long as there's a market for it, I think you're always going to find companies are going to release these products.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
important I mean, yeah, it's progress or whatever to some degree. I think it's more important though that we start to all kind of collectively get together here and start protecting infused cigars as well. We can clearly define the difference between a Swisher Sweet and an acid or whatever, right? And we need those things for our industry in order to keep it sustained and kind of
There's
grow.
some very major legacy brands in the marketplace that will slide under the radar as being a under the meta decision, but are actually have some sort of addition in the fermentation process, some sort of tuning, some sort of
Yeah.
batuning.
Right.
This isn't something new. This has been going on since like I even found a passage once in an old historical archive, like 1649, about adding something to tobacco to make it a little sweeter, make it a little mellower, make it a little this and that. So this is not some new invention that's happening at all. Yeah, we're getting a little more creative with it, I think, but really, there's like just let's take a dead brand, Royal Jamaican, right? Royal Jamaican forever. Their big selling point was the fact that they platooned the tobacco.
Yeah.
Who is looking up articles from 1649?
That man right there who
How are we
loves.
letting that go?
A man with no sex life. That's who that is.
I think that the at the end of the day, the sort of argument in the closet, as it were, from the FDA and from anti-tobacco legislators or people who obviously have too much time in their hand and too much money in their hand, the argument always comes, well, if it's a flavored product or it's whatever, somehow it's marketed towards kids, which is of course nonsense. Anyone who's ever been in a retail shop or run a retail shop knows it's nonsense. And so, it's this sort of bad faith argument, and they just sort of try to chip away. And so I agree with Mike. I think, the whole market, the whole manufacturing market needs to stand together, because ultimately it's all about dividing the market into smaller pieces. I mean, they did it with vapes by lumping in vapes and cigars together because they knew that they could run into legislation if they just lumped it all together instead of dealing with it individually. So make it a bigger target and make them have to work for it, because although you could call it a win, at best, as Steve said, it's a stalling action. We'll be here, we'll be here discussing it again eventually. It's just a matter of what government comes in and who's got too much time on their hands.
And what their priorities are, right? So it isn't
And what the priorities
necessarily
are.
what party is elected. It really
Yeah.
just depends on what the individual priorities are at the time.
Yeah.
Look, I think we're eventually going to get to way more THC regulation, right? I think we're now starting to see a lot of the fallout from that in the various states that have had it legalized for a long time. So that may be the next hot button issue, and they move on to that because that's really where the younger consumer group is moving. They're moving more to the vape products. They're moving more to the THC products. And I mean, if you really want to start thinking about public health, and look, I'm not trying to throw those guys under the bus. I don't know anything about it, but you do know that they always focus on whatever the current hot button issue is of the moment. So we may get a very long-term pass, but you don't know. Yeah, it really just depends on who the directors are and what the administration wants to prioritize.
Kind of
Switching
pivoting.
sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, pivoting away from from that ruling. I was just going to ask how everyone felt going into the show in terms of. Obviously, from an exhibitor perspective, it's different than from a retailer or media, but kind of the general buzz going into the show. What was everyone's kind of vibe this year versus last year?
Wait. Before we get off this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Before we get off this. Since the FDA has decided that they can't determine the premium back on it's null and void, can I have my money back from all the money that they've taken from me?
Totally. It'll be in your tax refund. Just look for it in the
It's just like the tariff filings that we're all trying to accomplish.
That's right.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 8 million organizations, consulting firms that are like, "Hey, let us file for your tariff refund."
Yeah.
Right.
Now. I mean,
It's
have
under
never,
the code.
I have never gotten money back ever. Okay.
No.
I mean, the best I've had is I've had some tax credits roll over to a next year, right?
Yeah.
But that's been around for a century, so it's a little bit more of an established practice. I think the chances of us getting any of this cash back, I'll be stunned. I really will. I mean, it's
look under the government filing code GFL 1000 is where you'll
right.
find your refund.
What money? What are you talking?
Yeah, the money's gone. I already spent the money. Sorry, guys, the money has been spent.
They've already borrowed against them. They didn't just spend the money.
Yeah.
Good God! I mean, if they were just spending the money we gave them, we'd all be great. No, they take our money and they leverage it 100x.
All right, so I guess for Steve and Mike, as brand owners, kind of leading into the trade show, I know you guys are kind of scrambling at times to make sure everything's ready and to get going. But how was that for you this year? Going into that, was PCA helpful for you guys to get everything you needed in place? And what was your feeling going into it?
I was excited about this year. We hit a lot of top media sites for their top 10 or their top 25. So I was really excited going into this PCA. I like to give Joshua Habursky a hard time a lot, but he's
That
doing
mustache.
yeah, but man, is he accessible? The guy he's on the floor, he's busting his ass. Was it perfect? No. What has it improved? Is it trending in the right direction? I would say, yeah, it really is. So yeah, I had high expectations going into the show for sure.
How about you, Steve?
So knowing what the Q1 numbers were for most of my peers, because I have a small cadre of people that we just promise one another we'd always share our real numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So we just kind of can get a sense. Look, I had a very good Q1, but a lot of that had to do with I had a couple drops programmed for Q1. So I had a really nice Q1. Had I not had those drops, I don't know how Q1 would have felt to me. I mean, it's obvious that it's been a tough economy. I mean, and I don't even know if it's really a tough economy, but there's definitely sales pressure on the retail side of things. I mean, there's definitely winners and losers right now, and I think that's been true for about 18 months. So it's not like a new thing. So that makes me apprehensive. I mean, the earlier the trade show is, that makes me even a little more apprehensive because, you know, you're in their debtor season, so they have less expendable cash. So that's always a concern of mine. I think pretty much universally we can agree it was a pretty miserable winter, regardless of where you were in the country. It was really kind of rough.
Winter's not done, Steve. Winter's still going up here.
Yeah, of course, you're in Canada. Winter, you have winter in July 4th. You don't count.
That's right.
But
We only
I
have
mean,
37 million people up there.
yeah, but I mean, so I didn't really know what to expect sales wise, to be honest with you. I mean, I felt comfortable with what we were offering, but I didn't know if that was going to motivate people. And it has a lot to do too with kind of like the way we stage the products out. We have basically something gets shipped in May, something gets shipped in June, something gets shipped in July, something, you know what I mean? So we had a lot of new releases, but they're staggered throughout the year. And we do that for two reasons. One, production capacity makes it easier on us. And two, I also know it makes it easier on our accounts because they can write us a nice order understanding that, okay, you're not going to have to pay for this until October. You're not going to pay for this until July. So I think that that helps out a lot. But yeah, I didn't really have I didn't have a bad feeling, but I didn't have necessarily the most rosy. I felt going into last year's trade show, I was more positive than I was this year. I
Hmm.
wasn't negative, but I was more apprehensive.
Okay. And then Jay and Mike again as retailers, kind of what was your outlook going in regards to that side of things?
Good, Mike.
You sure? You haven't talked yet. Okay. Yeah, for me, like the way that I kind of look at the trade show at this point is I've really put retail more on the back burner. There's a couple things that I need to handle that have to be handled, I guess, and I don't even do them. Greg does them. The Fuente whatever deal to get the Opus, yada yada. Um, and then, like honestly, man, there's just no time. There's
Yeah.
no I wish there was. But then and then like it's even messier for me because you get back and you regroup and you try and handle all this other stuff. And then like a lot of stuff kind of falls through the cracks. So I don't really think it's honestly as good of an analogy from my perspective at this point. So
Yeah.
I think that Jay is really going to have to carry the whole team for us. Let's go, Jay.
Well, I was not overly enthusiastic about this year's trade show because last year was so awesome. And we've been busy this year. So we spent a lot of time ordering with companies before the show, just restocking, which we don't usually buy much the month before the show. But there are a lot of companies, and Steve, you're no longer boutique in my opinion, because there are booths like Steve. I sit down and I've got a money idea in my head, and then I start going through what I need for regular core product, and all of a sudden, I've
Then
got
we milk the
several
living
coupons.
daylights out of you, man.
It wasn't that. It was just like, well, what do you need in Brulee? Oh, I need this. What do you need in Sin? What do you need? And so a lot of it for us was restocking. One thing that really surprised me was that the manufacturers appeared ready for the first time in about 4 years, where there were a lot of very good new brands and new cigars. The samples weren't terrible. And there were some good cigars that I didn't buy because no shelf space, no room in my bank account. I only brought one new brand in at the show. I'm looking at a second one. But I felt that it was a very good show. I smoked a number of very good cigars, and I think that it's going to be a good year. One thing that we kept on, I was a little put off by some of the offerings of new cigars that were quite expensive. My customers have made it pretty clear that they want more affordable cigars, even if there's a reduction in quality, and then there are other customers who they don't care. Honestly, a brand I was concerned about was Dunbarton because a lot of your cigars are in that $18 to $20 category.
No, we're definitely in the $15 to $20 range for
But
probably 80% of our portfolio.
But your cigars are selling very well. And I think that there are certain brands like yours that are more resilient because people are willing to pay a little extra because they know they're going to get that super high quality. So it was a mixed bag of looking for affordable cigars, but also we still want to have good cigars. But anything that was north of $25, I was very nervous about. One example, I tell you, and I do a lot of business with La Flor Dominicana. I was really worried about a carbon fiber case because those are not cheap, and a cigar at 5 cigars, priced for $200. That was probably the best cigar I smoked at the show, and I actually had to ask to get a double of my proposed allocation. And that wasn't the only booth where I went into, and I was like, wow. Like I was really kind of like, do I really want to smoke another Stillwell? Man, I smoked that English and it blew me away. And so that happened over and over again during the show, that cigars that I had kind of lower expectations for from companies I work with, they did a great job. It wasn't just Dunbarton. It wasn't just La Flor. It wasn't, I mean, a lot of these companies really came with prepared. And I think they've adjusted now to the new show schedule. Now, how they're going to adjust to March, I don't know. But it exceeded my expectations in the quality of the cigars. And it was a pleasant trade show. Having Wi-Fi on the floor was really nice too, because I like to have my iPad with me for live time ordering.
Wait a minute, there's free Wi-Fi on the floor?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't free. It was sponsored by Placencia. It was free for everybody.
Wow, I paid like $8K, I think, to have Wi-Fi in the booth.
You still wanted that. You still wanted that.
Well, in the booth you need more reliable, but I mean, the Placencia stuff worked fine for me. I will say one thing that impressed me was I did not think the food could be worse than last year or the year before in Vegas. My wife and I got lunch one day. We spent $15 on what was not even pulled pork, and then I discovered later that the PCA had a food cart outside where I could have gotten a burger,
which is really crazy because you can't swing a dead cat and get bad food in New Orleans, except at the convention center.
Yeah, exactly.
They really do have dreadful food.
It's really bad. I mean, it makes
and the catering prices are crazy because we always get it because our people don't have time to go get something to eat, so we buy whatever it is, and it's really it's pretty sad for what it costs.
And the only other gripe I have about the trade show is the number of manufacturers that haven't figured out yet. You should have water and or coffee at your booth. And instead, you have a rep who spent $4 on a bottle of water in a vending machine. And I'm like, you guys just spent $120,000, and God knows what you paid Shepard to buy your booth. Can you put a freaking espresso machine in or get some coffee?
Well,
that is a real gripe. When you're tired and you want a cup of coffee.
Part of it has to do with the convention center. They have.
Yeah, I was going to say not to defend the
New Orleans looks the other way. But Vegas, they don't look the other way. You put coffee in your booth.
Was that $10,000 touch for coffee in Vegas?
Well, for example,
Vegas is crazy.
We have a price order sheet for Nespresso capsules. So we say that we're sampling it. So if you want to order Nespresso capsules, we've got a price sheet for you. Now you're going to pay twice what you'd pay at any other place, right? Because I had to buy retail to ship them to you. But so we actually have a special price sheet for Nespresso capsules.
Well, these guys at Stoic had Nespresso I liked, and one thing I really like about your booth, it's going to sound ridiculous because you've done it since day one. Your throat gets a little scratchy when you're smoking cigars. To have the Ricolos there, that is always like the best part of the thing, is because
we literally spend about $500 on Ricolas. It's kind of crazy how much the Ricola budget is.
But those are the little things that, as a retailer, I appreciated. But yeah, I would give the PCA an A. I thought that the seminars were good. The pro cigar night.
Hold off on that, Jay. We're gonna get to that in a bit. You're good.
Anyways, I would say it was.
Oh, look at this! The guy that's on the board gives the PCA an A. What do you think?
No, I'm no longer on the board. I retired.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
That was one of the best.
Oh, good. So I'll be able to just really give you my true feelings.
Yes.
I didn't have to go to board.
Like I wasn't anyway.
Hey, Jay, how come no one's talking about how they downed the PCA Cafe with not having Cafe Du Monde this year? They didn't have Cafe Du Monde coffee or beignets. They went with someone else this year, and it was very obvious.
I like the beignets. They had me.
They were average.
The seminar day with iced coffee and iced tea, so I was happy.
There was no Cafe du Monde this year. I thought that was a big miss because I think
Well,
that was
Cafe
part
Du
of the
Monde's
fact.
overrated. So, but we
Well,
can fight about that
it was
later.
better than what they had. Is what I agree. There's better places, but yeah.
All right, Coop.
Yeah, I mean, they were okay. But I like the only complaint I had about the cafe is I wish they had more seating. I think the cafe's been great. Um, it reminded me of the old days when you had sort of the Nat Sherman Lounge there in Vegas. But I thought that was well executed.
All right, Coop. Your media lead up going into the trade show.
Well, I had a lot of anxiety this year about the trade show because we made a lot of big changes to the coverage model. We went last year when we did 90 booths, right? And I looked at the numbers. It was 80% of the traffic from half the booths, right? So 90 booths wasn't really the way to go. So we knew we were all burnt out last year. So we had to make a lot of changes to our coverage model. So I was very nervous about doing that going in. So, and we could talk about how that went a little later, but I think it did. I think it did go better for us. We have some more work to do in that area, but I think we've changing the coverage model has it re-energized me a bit with the trade show because I was sitting.
I saw, Coop, that I thought was interesting. I haven't watched everything, but it looks like Dojo had basically Juan Cancel running around covering all like little small beats, right?
Yeah.
So like that was his whole shtick, the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be different, and that's why I give Dojo credit. We had to get different on a lot of things too. I sat last year. I was in Dubai, still doing PCA recaps, and I'm sitting there and I'm writing about wrapper, binder, filler, box counts, prices, and I'm like, this is just completely unsatisfying to me. This is not like what I signed up for. I don't see how people are interested. I had this whole epiphany and I had to figure out how to make this a little more interesting. I don't know if we did it yet, but we definitely moved away from a lot of that this year. And, there's things we do on our podcast that we just decided not to duplicate at the trade show. So I was really nervous and I was like really kind of down going in. I did get re-energized at the trade show. We were down 2 people was another big problem, right? So we knew we were going to cut the booze down, but the problem is then we're down 2 people, and that's all we didn't expect to be down 2 people. That just happened. So as far as I had high expectations for PCA. They did a great job last year. Sometimes following it up is more difficult. I got to say they followed it up really well. Anything that I'm picking on beignets outside the cafe, that doesn't really affect their score here. They were well prepared. I felt this trade show has a vibe of a world-class trade show now, which you go back after 2019, how bad that trade show was. I'm like, they have really come a long way, and you can see they're prepared. They execute well. I heard the comment about Josh. Josh is absolutely accessible, and that's been the big thing that I've really noticed. And his staff has been accessible as well. So they're responsive when I have questions and everything. So I'm happy. I was really happy with the way PCA ran the show this year.
Right. So let's move along with the timeline so then we get into
DP doesn't get to weigh in on the.
You can weigh in, John. Go for it.
Yeah.
DP.
So I'm kind of more in the Steve camp. I was not. I wasn't. Well, and I guess I think Jay said too. I wasn't super thrilled going to the show. Partially because I think last year the show really hit on a lot of marks. There's a lot of exciting products going into the show. The 2 things that kind of stood out for me going into the show. Number one was there wasn't anything that was sort of super standout. Like there wasn't, the $1,000 cigar. Well, like there was no thing that sort of leading into the show where I'm like, oh, I'm super excited to see that. And
what did El Septimo have in gold? They must have had something in that booth.
No,
there's nothing.
nothing.
No, they had the La Familia. And then the other one, which is kind of petty on my part, but really pissed me off, was everyone seemed to hold off on press releases until the week of the show. And it's like, people are traveling that week, like media included. Like, why are you holding off on I just can't fathom the mentality behind holding off on press release.
They're rushing to do them. I know.
Well, fair
of that. I mean, look, I should write a separate press release for every brand. And what I do now is I just do one massive press release that just kind of is like the nuts and bolts. So, so
it's just hard from a media perspective.
It isn't even like a real press release. It's like kind of a laundry list, really.
Yeah, but like if you go back to because Coop's got his big board up, I think month and a half, 6 weeks before the show, right? And like that big board was pretty much half empty up until about 3 weeks before the show, and then 2 weeks before the show, we're having internal conversations about the fact that like, are there any products coming out for the show? Because like so far, it seems like half the exhibitors have not announced what products they're exhibiting, and then it was really, I would say 8 to 10 days before the show where PR started coming in. And then, I would say at least half of the press releases came in 7 or 8 days before the show, which,
What's so
is
weird
far
to
too
me is
late.
you guys are all so young. I remember when you used to go to the
Thank
trade
you.
show, and that's where you would discover stuff.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't know anything that was barely being released, and it was your activity of going to the show. You're like, oh, really? What is this? I know everything has changed. World's flatter, social media, internet, yada yada yada. But don't you kind of? I don't know. I kind of miss that in a way.
That's what I was
Go to
hoping
the
for. I was
trade
hoping
show,
there was
you
more
go,
going to be more.
oh
like
my God,
reveals.
look at this! I can't even believe this exists.
I was glad there wasn't reveals actually because they are problemsome.
Well, I
Because
mean, not like
we don't get the right
coordinated
access
reveal.
for those. Yeah.
Yeah, but not like a coordinated reveal, but just like you go to the booth and there's something there that you didn't know was going to be there.
Well, the problem was there were two major releases that the companies weren't ready to talk about this year. And I don't understand how you're not ready to talk about it when this is the biggest stage. And I'm talking about the Padron 100s and the Pledge of Allegiance 250. They were like half story. I mean, just either show the whole thing or don't show it, because I think at this point you have the biggest, this is your centerpiece event of the year. Just go all out at this point with it, And if it's not ready, it's not ready. And you can't show it because it's not ready. That's fine. But then don't show it, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time a cigar.
Coop unsubscribed from my press releases. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I did my best to get the press releases out there.
Yeah, I don't think you were named specifically, Mike. But like I said, I think and it's not like, as much as I would love to go to however many booths there were, probably 100. As Coop already alluded to, it's impossible. Number one, so we can't visit all the booths. So booths have to be prioritized, and number two, our time is somewhat limited. So sometimes we're not going to be able to get into the booth because it's either too busy or there's just not enough time within the time frame of the exhibition to see it. So
let me ask the question this way, John. I mean, how many are most of the companies good with scheduling media appointments though?
Yes,
we prefer not to have them actually.
Yeah, so I will say yes.
So I shouldn't send you the invite then.
Well, if you send us one, we're gonna, if you send us one, we go. Right?
No.
If I get the invite in my email,
you want it or you don't want it. I mean,
The problem with you is we need it's absolutely vital, right? But then again, Neptune comes in an hour. We figure we had the first thing, and Neptune comes in an hour early. It just throws everything off,
I think that exhibitors have gotten substantially better overall on a whole, way better than years in the past in terms of booking time, and I think that's great. DP doesn't do appointments not because we think we're better than everybody else, because we're not, but because we know that in the past when we've scheduled appointments, we end up burning a lot more time trying to make the appointment and being late for the appointment because of business, because there's very few retailers, very few exhibitors that actually run their appointments on time. Yeah. And so, we'll take appointments for some exhibitors, but we won't take appointments for most exhibitors. That's just how we run things.
Yeah, that's how we had to do it. That's how we had to do
so
it.
I would assume that most of the big booths have dedicated people that just in my case, it's me, right? I mean, I can understand how Mike, he can't have a dedicated person.
I'm him.
Well, he did though.
Oh, really?
Mike did have. Yeah, they were well in advance of most people in having booth schedules or appointments.
Bravo Zulu, my friend.
So thank you. But here's what I'm going to tell you, man. You're probably the best marketer in the industry. So I look at what you do, and I'm like, okay, well then I need to dedicate time to media, right? So we make sure that I don't really handle the sales. Palmer handles the sales. My brother handles the sales. And then I took it the next step up, and I said, you know what, man? A lot of these media guys, they're busting their ass. They're doing what they can to cover the show. And if they're going to send an appointment with me, I'm going to give them swag. So I made sure that they were guaranteed a hat, this hat, if they booked.
You were way more generous than me.
Well, you have the Ricolas apparently. There's that. So I don't know. It's just that's just kind of been my approach. But like I don't know. That's always the approach in businesses. You look at the
Yeah.
guys who do things right,
I
and
just know that the trade show is an opportunity for me to reach thousands and thousands of people through all of these various media outlets that I wouldn't otherwise reach.
right,
Because the average consumer, they might only watch one YouTube channel, they might only follow one blog, they might follow
Yep.
two or three, but so, by kind of taking that approach, it kind of, and I gotta tell you, there aren't enough appointment slots. This is the first year actually I didn't send out, hey, do you want an appointment? Um, I tried to I tried to send it out to the people that I had previous appointments with, but I had way too many requests, more than there's time in the day anymore to do it.
Yeah.
That's because they badged 174 media people and had 83 different media outlets this year. Those,
Really?
I mean, those were huge numbers. And
So I
I was
touched
like, I
maybe
sat back 83. I'm
I,
like,
which
I
which
touched
which
maybe I
surprising.
touched maybe 26 to 30.
when I asked for the media numbers from PCA, that's what they gave me, 83. And we know, I just was like looking at that. I'm like, that's a high number.
Yeah, I think we internally expected that number to go down from last year, not up. So that was,
I think it was
I
60
guess it's a
last
good
year.
thing, but
Yeah, it's a
it
good
was
thing.
it was a big jump.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's kind of different too, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this, there's a lot more retailers that also have a media component to their business.
Mhm.
Indeed, there
Right.
is.
So
Which is
Mike?
fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's just the problem is it causes some. It gives them some advantages, like they can get it on the pack badges before us. That was a little bit of a problem this year. So, but in general, why wouldn't you want like, you know, I see a lot of people, media people,
so the
who are retailers.
media can't come in at the early hour? I didn't know that.
Well,
they
that
could
not
come.
like that not like we had your appointment at 10 a.m., but the Neptune people were at your booth at 9 a.m. and they were shooting an interview with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
that's something
media
we
could
didn't
get
know.
in. I thought media could get in the same time as pack.
Not the last day they didn't. The last day they didn't do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, the Neptune thing, they just surprised it on me.
Mhm.
Mm.
All right. So seminar opening meeting day.
Ooh, yeah.
This was this is where I felt like it was already a downhill start for the PCA. This was leading up to it, just when they
Yes.
kind of announced what the ones were, and I think it felt that way. I didn't attend all of the sessions, but I believe Jay did, so he could probably speak to it. I know Mike, we caught you heading out of one of them. You're kind of kicking the ground and grumbling a bit, so I'm curious to get your thoughts. So I'll just go through it real quick. It starts off with the La Aurora rum pairing, then it rolled into the hand-rolled Padron session. Then they had the hospitality session, which was the FIU stuff. Then Nick Hammond with the Around the World in 80 Cigars book discussion. Then the short annual meeting, and then they had the Savona Fieri weigh-ins panel. So I'll just kind of, I know probably all of us did not attend some or all of these, so I'll kind of just open it up to people's thoughts, kind of starting early on, kind of rolling through what the events were. Thoughts on the sessions for the day? Go ahead.
They were not as strong as last year's all around. I kind of felt bad I wasn't at the Nick Hammond one because he had a lot of nice things to say about the review we did of his book, but I kind of knew what they were going to talk about with that. So, I think Aaron, you and I and our teams, we stayed for the first two things and then came back for the party was what we did.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like they got away from a little of what they did with Fuente Friday, some of the stuff they did with, the hands-on kind of stuff, which I would have liked to have seen continue. They seem to get away from that this year. They kind of went back to a seminar they've done a couple of times already, and it was more diluted this year. And I'm talking about the La Aurora one.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was
It wasn't anything new. It was the
wasn't
same.
a pairing seminar at all. It was
It
here's
was.
here's a little pour rum. Here's the
The moderator
cigar,
talked a little too much
and they're
during
just
that
going to just talk
seminar.
about stuff.
Yeah, I thought the moderator was talking way too much during that one. Let the principals on stage do the talking with that one.
Yeah. And I don't know who the guy's name is, but I do want to embarrass him. But the one question they allowed someone in the audience to ask, I don't understand why that was chosen. But it was just, can you tell me about why you think this is good or something like that? It was just like, what? Why are we asking this question? Like, Don't, yeah. Whoever raises their hand first, don't call on them. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think you should have someone like kind of at least filtering the questions
Yeah.
because there were probably questions that could have got asked that maybe I'm not saying it would have been better or worse, but you kind of want to try to get the most original questions in there. I think.
Yeah.
Jay, what do you got?
I like the seminars this year. I agree with Coop. I think that they were overall a little weaker than last year, but the attendance was really solid. The La Aurora one was good, but I do agree that Ricardo probably talked a little too much. I think he was nervous. But I like the way that they organized having the rum out there. The Padron thing was interesting. I got the sense that maybe Handrolled and Padron haven't agreed on what they're actually going to have, so they're kind of reshooting it. But I thought it was good. I really liked how George introduced the entire family.
I did too.
I think some of the footage when he went with his children to where he used to live, and that was really awesome. I thought that the Nick Hammond surprised me. I told Nick, I said I wasn't looking forward to this because how are you going to talk about your book? But I thought it was great. He interviewed the three principals of J.C. Newman, and they talked a lot about why Nick's book was different and how he spent a week with them. That was actually quite fascinating. I thought Nick did a great job coordinating that. The luxury one was good, and no disrespect to Rocky Patel. He's obviously a giant in our industry and wonderful, but I thought Eddie Guerra did a better job at FIU with that. And part of it is he knows the dean and he knows the rum professor, and that was more dynamic at FIU, but it was good. I think that it was really interesting, the comments that the professor had about how do we reach this younger generation, the people that will be smoking the legacy brands in 10, 20 years. The Cigar Aficionado thing was pretty good. My wife made the comment that if what was his name, Waylon or
Marlon Wayans.
Marlon Wayans.
all right, she goes, I would have liked him better if I didn't have to smoke his cigar. His cigar was absolutely horrible, but he was really funny. And him and Guy were really good together. In fact, he's coming to Dallas, and he's one of his people called our store today and asked about doing an event, and I was okay till they wanted a $4,500 appearance fee. And I had to buy their cigars. I'm like, how about you pay me $4,500 for the privilege to come to my business? You're already a multimillionaire. But I thought those were all good. The PCA meeting was typically dry, but at the end, they gave Joshua the mic. And when he started talking about the 100th anniversary at the Washington Monument, started talking about this partnership in Macau, I mean, he was just slinging it. And I think we definitely have the right person as the CEO of PCA. And like I said, I serve on some committees, but I don't serve on the board. I think Josh was doing a great job. But the thing that impressed me is, although I felt the seminars were a little weaker than last year, when I looked at that room and how full it was, and I remember several years in Vegas where we're cramped into a room where we're talking about the FDA, and there's just empty tables like crazy. Another thing they did this year too is they ran out of iced coffee, they ran out of coffee, they ran out of iced tea and water. And unlike last year and the year before, they refilled it all. So they did a good job on moving things on the fly. And for the Padron seminar, I was shocked. They actually gave everybody at our table 2 Padron cigars.
Wow.
So I thought it was a very enjoyable day. I thought the seminars, I think they get an A minus, but I think if you consider the number of people that stayed all day, I'd give them an A.
So, they made a big change with Handrolled this year, and I know that Steve and Jesse talked about it a bit. So in the past, what they did is they had like a almost final cut they would show. This year, they kind of showed the beginning cut. So from what I understood from talking to those guys, they did not. This Padron thing was a small piece that they just started. So, I didn't think that was a bad approach to take, because you show these rough cuts, and then we're still waiting to see the Pete one. I'm still waiting to see the one I'm in with JRE. So, I kind of think this approach was a good. I think it was a good approach, and I think they did good justice for the Padrones with it. So, and I like that Steve and Jesse. I think they did a great job with the interview, by the way, of George. I think that they're really good interviewers, those guys. I've had a chance to work with them, and they're top-notch professionals, and they did a great job. So I thought it worked out well, but they made a big change this year to what they were doing with Handrolled.
Yeah.
For the record, I just want to throw out a little bit of love for Nick Hammond. I've known him for a long, long time. He's a
He
fantastic author and a fantastic moderator. He really, truly is.
he's a class act too. I had a chance to talk with him a little too. Like I said, I felt bad we didn't stay for his piece, and but no, he's a class act.
Yeah, we spent a week in Nicaragua with him, and he had me rolling on the floor for like 8 days straight.
Yeah.
What a wonderful guy.
All right, Mike, tell us about it.
All right. I don't think I'd give him an A on this one, guys, to be honest.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
you know, the roar thing, I don't even know. Like, whatever. I couldn't hear anything. I don't understand why they don't work out the acoustics before the whole thing starts, because I had no idea what they were saying. Might as well have been in Mandarin. It made no sense because the speakers were done wrong. So we need to fix that, right? Like, someone needs to come in. You need to hire a proper team, not some slapdick with a board on the left. I don't know who they were, but they did a terrible job. The screens were a mess. The screens are too goddamn low. You can't see anything. You got to raise the screens up so that they're visible for everybody to see, inclusive to the standing room only they had in the back. You're right. They had a great turnout. So there was that. I think Eddie Guerrero did a great job. He was well spoken. He was very captivating. He obviously had a plan. I think Rocky Patel hates Eddie Guerrero, and that's the impression that I got when they were talking. I'm like, okay, this is kind of awkward, and I didn't need to hear for the 75,000th time, you need to take your customers hunting. I'm like, okay, apparently I need to take my customers hunting. It just didn't sound. It felt to me like, I respect Rocky Patel, obviously. He's done a lot of good things in this industry. It felt like he was like, I got this. There was no prep, you know? And because of that, it became the department of the redundancy department. And I heard the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, okay, thanks for that.
For me, it'd be all new and fresh because I've never been to any seminar but the FDA seminars. Those are the only ones I went to ever.
So, Mike, if I can address that, one of the reasons I liked FIU better was they talked about working with what you had. They talked about when the OpenSec Society did their original layout in Miami, it was a very small store, and how they worked with a company to bring in these false walls or whatever to expand it, how they brought in models, how they paired with local companies. And what I liked about the way the FIU focus was that didn't happen here was they talked about, if you're a store with 600 square feet, how do you do an event? If you're a store with 2,000 square feet, how do you do an event? If you have a bar versus not having a bar. And they talked about a lot of those particular things rather than let's just go hunting. Right. Or let's fly to the Bahamas. So I thought that's why I thought that seminar was good, but it was much better and much more practical at FIU.
Wait a minute, who's flying their customers to the Bahamas? Because I'm way behind.
Rocky Patel, bro. No. Come on.
On his private jet.
I gotta make Rocky Patel.
McAuliffe did it. McAuliffe did it too.
Yeah.
Al's done it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going on the Dunbarton plane.
Yeah,
it's gonna be amazing.
But Jay,
I think center coach seat, my friend.
It's gonna be center coach. You spoil me. So yeah, and like, unfortunately, I was dying on that day. I was super sick, and when I couldn't hear it, and then when I did hear that over and over again, I was like, all right, you lost me. I'm not. I just left. I didn't stay. I did see the hand-rolled thing. I thought the hand-rolled thing was really good. I don't think we're ever going to see the final cut of any of this at this point, because it's been how many years since they started it? Let's release the damn things already. Let's go. We want to see it.
Well, give them some slack on that. They're done with JRE and Tatuaje. They're trying to iron out a deal with Amazon Prime, and because we're tobacco, it's taken some time. So and they want to get this out as badly as we want to watch it.
So post it up on YouTube. They get no slack. They don't get a pass.
Yeah, but if it loses to Amazon Prime,
here's what I'm going to tell you, dude. Look, I'm going to always keep it real. And it's not because I'm trying to hurt anybody. It's because I believe that we can level this whole thing up, right? And they have this tool that is captivating, and it's absolutely amazing. And what they're doing is next level. So figure it out. Put it up already. I don't care. Put it on a website so that we can all see it. Whatever, because it looks amazing. But I would like to see it before I turn 50. You know,
Well, I disagree with that because I think if they wait and they get with a major company like Amazon Prime, it'll put a lot more money there. So, when the surgeon's ready to retire, they'll have money to do a show on him. And so I think that we need to give the Handrolled guys a little bit of a pass because we don't know all the details that they're dealing with.
They got
right
to make
now.
money. These guys got to make money.
I love your confidence, Jay, but I don't think I'm pretty enough for them to put me in front of a camera. I'll be honest. Let's just be real. I don't think Jesse's ever sitting down with me in a camera. I dare to dream, but it's not happening.
yeah. Hey,
Me
you know what,
either,
Jay?
my
It's
friend.
you know what, Jay? It's okay that we disagree. I still love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I think it was 2 shows ago where we had sort of an hour-long Handrolled, and then Nick from Foundation had a really great seminar, which actually, the funny thing is, going into that, I was like, oh man, like half an hour, 45 minutes on Connecticut River Valley. I don't know how exciting that's going to be. And it ended up being massively captivating. And that, I think, to this day, I think that is set the sort of bar for how exciting a Friday intro session could be. And so, to me, that's going to be the bar that every Friday session is kind of compared to. I don't know if the keynote for Cigar Aficionado being at the end makes sense. I think, maybe that's something that might need to be moved up, maybe in the middle to sort of, keep the energy going. But for me, I was with Aaron and the coalition team. We just kind of cut bait because we're like, well, it just wasn't as captivating as has been in previous years for us.
I will say that
panel is not jaded, right? So you also have to kind of take it from the perspective of the people, the average retailer in the audience.
did any of you guys see the Cigar Aficionado interview?
No.
Nope.
It was very entertaining, and I support boutique media, if that's the word. I don't know, but it was really funny. They let Guy come out there first, and then Marlon joined him, and then this is just Josh. This is why I love Josh. Guy Fieri's like, I don't have any tequila this year. 3 minutes later, Joshua Versky is running up with 3 glasses of tequila onto the stage, handing it to them. And it was very entertaining. I don't know how much substance it was, but a merry heart makes good like a medicine. It was enjoyable as a retailer to watch. Now, I guarantee you, if I had a media presence, I wouldn't want to watch and support a competitor of mine. But I thought from a strictly retailer's perspective, it was very enjoyable. It was fun, and I mean, those are 2 funny guys.
I have no sense of depth of this. How many people attend these seminars? I mean, what's the audience? Is it 100, 200, 800? What is it?
I want to say it was about 2. I want to say it was about 200.
I'd say it's about close to 400, 500
Really?
maybe.
Okay.
It definitely seemed like the largest attendance, I think, in as long as I can remember, actually, for sure. So if you look at it from an audience perspective, I think it was a win. But when we sort of look at it from our own subjective measure, it wasn't particularly thrilling for us. But obviously, we're not necessarily the audience that they're going for, so that's all right.
Yeah, we talked about this on the pre-show about possibly having breakout sessions too with some of these as well. Just having some parallel paths with that where they can get some more content in there. So if you saw like the La Aurora pairing seminar last year, you could see something else this year is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Coop. Kind of like what Pro Cigar and Pure Sabor do. Like if you want to go to rum tasting great, or if you want to learn about the newest software, you can be one of the 2 people that goes. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
As long as they have good speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Decent audio.
There's not a lot of great speakers.
But I got to give the PCA credit.
Microphones and speaker, I think, is what he means. If you can actually hear them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they did get Marlon Wayans. They did get Guy Fieri. I did 45 minutes with Marlon Wayans in Charlotte last year. He's a great guy, and it's great to have someone like him coming into your convention and doing a session. So I think that's great.
All right. Opening
It's gonna be a
gala.
long show. We're still in the pre-seminar.
Oh yeah. Get your second cigar ready.
So opening gala.
Yeah, my character.
Everybody
I
hear
got
me?
enough booze. I'm good.
So, Aaron, can I kick this one off?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I have a question for Saka on this one. So they went back to the format where everyone had to wait online again. instead of handing the cigars and everything out at the front door like they did a couple years ago. Steve, was there any reason why they went to that format again? It just seemed like
I can
people.
tell you it was not even a conversation.
I don't because
So there was no conversation about changing the format.
because
Only
I just
thing
thought
was,
it was just kind of, there were a lot of people like who spent an hour waiting online for some of it. Now I get if you want a picture with Guy Fieri, I get that, right?
yeah, I think
But
that
but a lot of people trying to just get a starter smoke.
look, everybody has different desires in that. Whereas I'm just kind of like, hey, Eric, tell me what my share is, and whatever corner of the lot nobody else wants, I'll put my table there. So I'm very cavalier about the whole thing because I don't think it actually matters. Um, but I can see why potentially someone that's spending the X number of dollars to sponsor it would actually want to have some sort of touchy-feely with
They
the
were
consumer.
you were gonna get that. Eric was gonna get that no matter what. You would definitely it was definitely gonna happen. Was my
Yeah,
point.
but maybe some of the other people wouldn't have. So, look, let me say this. It was never a conversation in any of the meetings that we had prior to it. It was pretty much how do we redo what we did last year? It's kind of the way I took it.
Yeah,
I thought
I
it was.
agree,
I
Coop.
thought
I
overall it
didn't
was
like
good
it.
though. After I thought it was good though. After
Yeah,
that,
the only thing I think is last year's was so refreshing that this year being a repeat of refreshing isn't quite as stunning as it was last year. Because I think last year, I think we were all genuinely stunned at how good the PCA gala was. Because we've been a long time since we've had a good opening gala event. So it worked really well. And of course, look, it's very weather dependent. That park is perfect. It's in a great location for most of the PCA hotels. It's really nice to be outside. I mean, at first when I looked at all of those silver and gold sofas, I'm like, what the fuck is this? But then I realized we were in New Orleans and probably the other choice was a metallic purple sofa that I thought probably the silver and gold ones were probably the most tasteful of the choices that they could get for outdoor rental furniture. Yeah, but I mean, everybody I talked to said the booze was good. They said the food was good. And they all seemed, look, they lingered a long time. They let everybody stay in the park until like 10:30. It was they let it run quite a bit longer than what the original schedule was. Now I know there was a post event that I didn't go to because we had to prep. We had the next day the opening of the trade show, but I don't know. From my end, it felt good. I think we were better at managing our line this year than we've been than we were the previous year. But yeah, I don't know. Is handing everybody the cigar in advance a good idea?
not the
Yeah,
lines were
I
just
don't.
really
I
long was
actually
the
don't
problem.
care, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
But again, people had to wait on multiple lines. It wasn't like
yeah, you
even
had to
like
wait
when
on what, 5 lines?
like this like when they had that one a few years ago that they had at least it was one line that you were on. So I didn't quite
Yeah.
understand. I didn't think that worked well. Everything else was great about that
See, I
opening
didn't like the
party.
one line that we did that one year in
Yeah, it
Vegas
was horrible.
because then,
Oh, that was brutal.
I liked the
yeah,
year then they did the nachos and they had the
I remember
nachos
the
and you
one
got
I
everything
did.
when you
I
came
remember the
in.
one I did in Vegas with the one line. We had people that were waiting in the line for like 90 minutes, for God's sakes. I mean, I
Well,
was,
you probably waited online for 90 minutes as well.
But I think the
really, I
lines
don't,
here and there in this situation actually help the event because if you hand out all the cigars coming in, the bars and the food are just overwhelmed immediately instead of people being out of those areas. So it gives people a chance to kind of mix to different pieces of it, and I think it keeps the flow going a lot
I
better.
do know one thing. Every manufacturer seemed to bring their own quantity of cigars, right? So I know some of the booths ran out earlier than some of the other booths did. I mean, I know we ultimately ended up running out, but we didn't. I don't think we ran out before everybody that wanted one got one. But I do know that a
So they
couple.
don't give you a number to say bring this many.
They give you a number, but it's very, hey, 800, 1,000, 1,200, maybe 1,500. It's kind of fuzzy math. I mean,
I, I, I will I will
we
agree
took
that
we
I
took 1,200 cigars is what we took. I think Eric took like 900 or 1,000. I don't know what the other booths took.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't like the way it was done. I waited in line for 20 minutes to see Saka, and I finally like forget about it. I think what would be better
hurts, man.
is yeah, and then I didn't get to pet the help. I love Lafferty's shirt. I think it'd be better if you got the 3 cigars, and then there'd be 3 breakout areas where it's things are like a circle. Get a microphone, and people that want to just listen to Saka preach or listen to Eric preach, they can, and then have people come and serve. The food was good, but have people come and serve the food. And then they also locked the gate at the back, so you had to walk 2 city blocks to use the bathroom. I just think it would make more sense to have people serving the food. It goes towards the F&B budget anyways that they have to meet. And I would rather spend that time listening to Steve talk about something totally unimportant than be in line.
This is all I talk about at that party.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that it's good that they had it outside, but logistically, I just said the hell with this. I just went and got food because 20 minutes and I still had 40 people in front of me. Then I saw there was a second Saka line. I'm like, forget it. So I just got the food.
I will say, I think, Steve, your assessment about the word getting out about the gala from last year, I think that's probably an accurate take. You know, it's certainly like last year we had a number of people who didn't attend the gala, and you know, he said, well, look, you missed out on probably one of the best galas that's possibly ever been held. And so I think, you know, I don't know if it's word of
since
mouth
the boom years, to be honest with you.
It was very good. It was overall.
It was very good. So I think we all agreed that, first of all, visually, you know, subjectively, it seemed like the most number of people that have attended a gala in years, which is great to see.
Yeah, it was definitely busier than last year, and I think it's
way
because
busier than last
people that didn't go last year felt like they missed out and that they had to make it here this year.
Yeah.
I think
Gala gets an A-, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sad part is next year we'll be in Vegas, so I imagine we're going to be back into a concrete floor.
Yeah, I'm curious what that's going to look like.
Space.
Well, Josh was talking about some interesting scenarios, like, you know, for next year on our show. I think they were talking about stratosphere.
The weather is, you know, it'll actually be a little cold in the first week of March.
Oh yeah.
A lot cold.
You could definitely do an outside event if you wanted to. Everybody needs to wear a light jacket.
I can tell you, Steve, the year that was the last year we went to TPE, which I think was I want to say it was like a week before the end of February, and Drew Estate did their outside catered thing, and it was an unmitigated disaster because as a Canadian, it was frigid. Like the food was getting cold on your plate.
Just turn in your Canuck card now. That's just.
It was not pleasant. So, you know, doing an event outdoors in Vegas in March, that's a dicey proposition, I think. But I agree with Coop that, you know, I think Josh has been instrumental in coming up with good and unique and interesting ideas on how to move the dial and move the success of the gala and other events.
You know, he's thinking. I do definitely like about the gala though is I like the inclusion of multiple companies.
I do too.
Yeah,
totally.
Because
100%.
The costs have escalated tremendously over the years, and it's not the PCA's fault. It's just inflation and what it costs. And for one company to bear the burden is really too big an ask. And by having multiple vendors sponsor the party, I think it actually makes it better for the attendees.
Totally.
Rather than getting 3 cigars from one single company, you getting multiple companies. I think it's a better experience.
No question.
Remember the CAO Nicaragua year? And no one liked the cigar. So it hurt the event that year. So,
you're being kind. It was up there at the CEO concert. It was terrible.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if you have multiple exhibitors, at least you have the opportunity, as you say, if someone doesn't like that brand or isn't interested in that cigar, then there's other vendors there that that will bring in the audience.
And I think the party I chose to share the cigar that I thought people were least likely to try. Mm. Because I knew that, you know, that the new Stillwell was going to go to the bottom of the bag at the end of the PCA trade show to be smoked 8 months later. But I also knew that at the gala that they got X number of cigars, and if they hang out for 3 hours, they're likely to light it.
You know, an interesting comment that was made in the chat was at TPE in 2020, and obviously TPE is much smaller, but they did a good job where they had a somewhat semi-enclosed space in Vegas where you could go to different locations to get cigars from different companies, and they
Yeah.
had waiters coming to bring you food and drinks. That was very well executed at that TPE.
Yeah, it was. It was
And
good.
hopefully PCA will do something like that
You're
in Las
looking
Vegas.
at premium cigar attendance at TP being what?
Oh.
1/30th of
Right.
the people. I mean,
Yeah, it was maybe 400 people, but yeah, it obviously, but the idea worked, but it would have to be a larger space, a lot more people. I was overwhelmed with the number of people there. I remember was the last year we did in Vegas, we were worried. No, it was the second to last year we did in Vegas. We were worried if we could break 1,500 people, and there were more than 1,500 people
the other
there
thing
this
too
year.
about the PCA Gala, I think it's open to anybody that has a badge, right? So
Yeah.
Yep.
you have a lot of other industry members that
Mhm.
come into the PCA Gala.
Yeah, you've got less than 1,000 retailers, and you've got
So
6,000
tell me
badges
about
roughly.
the follow-up event, because I didn't see that. It was at some warehouse with like open doors or something, or
Right next to it.
oh, okay.
Yeah, walking distance.
Yeah, that's a good venue. They used to have the Davidoff Golden Bands there. And I think that was the backup, Jay, if I'm not mistaken, if it rained.
Yes.
Yeah. So and that's a good venue. It's a big venue, yeah, so they could fit everybody there.
Yeah, I didn't go this year. I went to a shop in Metairie because there was an event, and there were a number of smaller manufacturers there, and that was a great time and phenomenal jambalaya they had there. So I missed
Gus's
that.
fried chicken. So
Can't go wrong with that.
Mike, did you go to the gala?
I was there. Yeah, I was there.
So, what were your
Crazy.
thoughts?
It seemed good to me. There was a good turnout. I don't have an issue with the tables. I mean, I thought it was good the way it was. I like the food kind of around. I think they did a good job. I like the random guys singing in the middle. Seemed pretty good.
Yes, some media had issues with tables, but I don't
I
know
w-
what
I
that
was
was all about.
Yeah, you can't put 400 seats in there. I mean, you would have no room then to do anything.
Yeah.
So,
and
so
you
yeah.
It
eventually
was a
wanna
good
keep-
balance.
And eventually
Yeah.
these people have to go. You have to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you
nobody
can't.
What? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I at least they had some seating. I was like, that was good.
Yeah. I think they did-
Any seating is better than no seating.
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job. They
even
fed
though
me.
it's a metallic gold sofa.
Yeah. I stole a cigar. I cut, I
There
jumped
you
right,
go.
I cheated.
Yeah, more than a few people cheated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't cheat I didn't go to every table and cheat. I just needed a cigar.
Yeah.
So I got one,
Yeah.
I harassed Eric Espinoza, which is always awesome for me. And I don't need a picture with anybody. So and then people start asking me questions like because I was behind the table, like, can you?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't work with it.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on. So but it was cool. Like, I mean, one of the challenges you don't get to, I mean, you talk to a ton of people at the show, but you don't really get to talk to a ton of people at the
Yeah.
show. So to sit down and catch up with some of my friends that are retailers or customers of those retailers that were there, like opening gala was awesome for that. So I thought they did a great job with that for sure. And I think
there
that
was a proposal about like maybe not including other exhibitors, but that got squashed really quick.
I don't think that's in the
I don't think it's a good
interest
idea.
of.
Yeah.
It's not like spirit of the event. I don't think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree because I like I said, I ultimately don't care. I
I
want
mean, as long as you're not handing out your
as
cigars out
possible.
there, where other people had to pay to hand out their cigars, right?
Yeah. And my approach going in there is like, I don't need to hit every table.
Right.
I mean, I don't need all of it. It's like you always go back and forth the whole trick or treat shit, right? Like, okay, what are we doing? Oh, I got 5 today. And like, I'm grateful for the one that I get to smoke there because realistically anything else is just going in my bag, might get mushed later, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing a disservice to the guy who put in all the time and effort into that brand and spent the money and is there. So
Now, my team said that there was more trick or treating at this trade show than there has been in recent times.
Because there were a lot of consumers on the floor this
But
year.
also, I'll say this: every year, I feel like I'm not going to be surprised by anything. The retailers always surprise me with how
Yeah.
they figure out new ways to be greedy and all this other stuff about getting cigars and booths and all this stuff, or wherever they're at, if they can get a free cigar. So it's wild. I don't know.
for me as a smaller company, we generally don't give out a lot of samples unless you have an appointment.
Right.
It's just
Yeah, I
kind
know
of
that firsthand. Go ahead.
yeah, exactly. No hat for you.
We burn through in an average trade shows roughly 8,000 and 9,000 samples.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And those
That's
aren't
wild.
free.
You know,
No, it's a big major cost on the line. I mean,
yeah.
even
That-
even at my expenses, I mean, it's real money. But look, the idea is to get people to smoke the cigars, right?
yeah.
Your potential buyers, and
Just
that's the way we
it's a
look at it.
question. It's a question of how effective it is, and that's really kind of hard to determine, right? I had one kid that was terrible on his weasel game. I mean, it was so he's like, hey, I'm in a Facebook group and I really want to, I want to try your cigar. I want to promote it. And I said to him, like, dude, that's the worst fucking thing you can say to me.
Yeah, dude. I think most people know me enough that that doesn't fly, so I
Yeah.
don't get approached like that anymore.
Yeah.
I gave him the cigar.
Oh, see ya.
I handed it to him. I said,
Basically,
look, man,
you enabled him.
I did. But I'm just trying to make him better. I'm like, look, dude,
Everybody's got to start somewhere. Hey,
yeah, like I appreciate the attempt. That was fucking terrible. That was terrible. Please don't do that.
this
Just
is
come
the
up and say, hey, man,
mercy cigar.
yeah. Like it was a total sympathy lay. I'm like, okay, bro, whatever.
One thing I do find really odd was the whole PCAs. Like, you got to make sure that the people that come to the trade show are like legit, blah, 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 blah. And the reality is, the number one offender to people bringing excess people to the trade show is the retailers themselves. It's not the manufacturers that are like bringing. Yeah, hey, look, there's very few retailers it's a pretty long
They're
list of
both
retailers
guilty.
that bring some of their whale customers to the trade show. It's
Yeah.
That's been going on
Yeah.
for good 2+
Yeah.
decades, 3 decades. Yeah. So I actually find them to be more. Look, it doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people, but I mean, they put so much emphasis on that, and I don't really know where how do you even enforce it? I don't really understand.
You shouldn't. You should. The reality is that you need those. We need those guys.
Well, my
The
attitude
industry-
is if somebody's willing to spend out of their pocket to come to the trade show, they're so cigar crazy that those are probably the people in the shop that are probably affecting the opinions of the other people that are in the shop.
100%.
So for me, I don't find it to be an issue personally.
It's not. It
Yeah, 'cause
shouldn't be.
I assume that the retailers that when they choose who they're going to bring, they're kind of vetting their very, very best customers to bring along with them, or they
Right.
wouldn't bring them along.
Some.
Yeah, but it's probably the quality of the retailer is the quality of the vetting, right? So,
I mean, I brought one guy one time. I love this guy. He knows who he is. I won't say his name, but he fucked it up. He ain't coming back. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, what are we doing?
yeah.
It's no bueno.
You know,
You
like,
know?
and I know in our case, I mean, we have Trish and Chris and Jason who aren't on the company payroll, but they come every year and
They work their butts off. And
No, they work the booth hard. And look,
Yeah, they
next
do.
year I'm
They
going to
do.
bring 2 more people because we need more people to work the booth, and we're such a small company. We're under a dozen people, and we really could use another 2 bodies.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the show itself a bit. Very early on, registration process. I know that last year it was a horrible process for exhibitors to get their badges. The line was, I know that we could, as media, we could walk in, get our badge, and then kind of like walk down the line to do interviews if we wanted to do it. But was it better this year? Were you guys able to get what you needed quick and not have to stand in line for half a
I
day?
have a pet peeve about this one. I find it very annoying that they made all of my people individually check in.
Yeah.
I just, in the past, we've been given all of the badges for all the people in the company, and it makes it a lot easier than everybody individually checking in. I mean, I don't really see the purpose of it.
I could tell you why. Because there were duplicate badges. People were walking around with duplicate badges
Well,
last
I can tell you
year.
right now, I get 3 badges every trade show. I have a Steve Saka, I have a Steven Saka, and I have a Saka Khan. And why? Because I get 40 badges or 50 badges with my booth space. I only use 12 of them. But if I lose a badge, they want to charge me $300.
150.
So my attitude is, why the fuck am I not going to get multiple?
Exactly.
I mean, I paid to have 40+ badges. So I find it absurd that they're going to charge me $300 because I forgot my badge in the room or something.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of that. I suck up 3 badges.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Guess
thought
until
the
next year. Now that I said it out loud, but
Yeah.
I mean, really, I mean,
It's
man.
that's a good strategy.
I mean, look, you're paying for the booth space. You're allocated 4 badges for every 10 by 10 lot space. All right, I have 20 by 50. That's 100. That's 10 booth spaces, right? I get 40 badges, but I only really use 12 of them.
Mm.
So
So how do you check in for a Saka con
charge
badge?
me $300 when I forget my badge because I'm the
But
worst.
I think there's, like I said, I understand why they do that though, because then that prevents counterfeit, invalid credentials from getting on.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. And normally when that type of a scenario normally happens on the cusp, right? Like, oh, we'll get you in, no problem, right? That isn't a sought out plan because
Yeah.
you have a sought out plan for backup badges. I don't see that being an issue.
Same here, yeah. I don't have an issue with that. Like I said, but last year I saw people like one manufacturer. He had how many badges? We kept seeing badges with the same name of this one person who was very, very well known in the industry. So
Mm.
Yeah, I thought the addition of, I don't know how many people used it, but we certainly did. You could add it to your Apple Pay or Google Wallet, which certainly sped up the process substantially.
yeah,
That was, it's just such a small thing, but it's 2026. Like, it makes perfect sense that you can just add it to your phone. You go up, you scan it, you're done. Like that was just a small touch, but I think it helped the whole process, at least for us. I
They
don't
were
know.
processing the badges quicker this year than they have in the past.
they did a good job this year. They really,
I
and
felt that was true.
they also had staff available this year if there was a problem. And Josh said last year part of the problem was they were having their staff meeting during registration, and there was no staff to support some of the problems they had. So they worked. I think they worked that piece out a lot better this year. They did a good job with registration.
I think the other thing too they did this year is they had the badge registration available from jump, where before
Right.
we would get a temporary like wristband for like the first 2 days of setup.
Mm.
So as you were coming in for setup as an exhibitor, you could get your badge then, so you didn't have to stand in a massive crazy line. So that part was good too, having the ability to get your badge ahead earlier than having to wait until the day before. Definitely was an improvement.
Yeah. That happened for us too.
All right, Coop. Any media entry issues?
No, they did a good job with that.
Whoa, really?
Yeah,
Yep.
we got right in. 2 years
2
in a
years
row.
in a row.
2
2 years in a row. I
Yeah.
mean, and I have to say, like, I'm sure that the whole team helped, but I want to give credit where credit's due, and Josh definitely took that seriously and made sure that there was no issues for the last 2 years. We did not get, I don't know what, it might change when we go to Vegas because it's different security staff, but the security staff at the New Orleans Convention Center seemed to really know what was going on and didn't even get so much as a second glance when we tried to get in, which is appreciated.
Yeah, seeing that from behind the scenes, credit definitely goes to Josh, but also
Yep.
to Scott Regina and to Lisa Cox. They realized that they had failed 3 years ago, and they wanted to make sure it was done right the last 2 years. And I got to give credit to them.
They've fixed that. They've
Yep.
fixed that. Like I'm curious about Vegas as well, so we'll see. But
And another interesting thing too is I couldn't get my badge until was it Friday at 10? We got there about 9:30, and there were a lot of people in line. So at 9:40, 20 minutes early, they opened up and they cleared that line through, and I got my badge in 5 minutes.
Good job by them on that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job. And Josh moving the board meeting to the day before, so there weren't meetings, so it freed him up and freed other people up. That was great.
Yep.
Smart.
Let's talk about the trade show floor. We all got in at different times, and as exhibitors,
Including
you can see it kind
exhibitors.
of going, kind of building up. But thoughts on what the trade show floor looked like, same as last year? Any kind of differences that you guys thought layout wise or anything like that?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. Well laid out. Good use of space.
I'm still wondering if the email goes out to exhibitors that people are going to be on the trade show floor at 9 a.m. because we did notice, look, you're at the trade show, you put in a lot of work to be at the trade show, set up your booth, whatever. But when people are rolling in at 9 a.m. to come talk to you and there's nobody at your booth, it's not a good look. I don't know what got missed
I
there.
think that's a
Maybe
company issue. I mean, look, I know for
could
us,
be. Yeah.
day one, everybody has to be there 90 minutes before the trade show actually opens up, right? And it's part of the reason why we do the gala. Then we all collectively go to a restaurant that's simple to eat at, and then everybody needs to get to bed. And look, I have an older crew, so they aren't typically as late night as other folks. So that kind of helps us a lot having older people. But and then even on day two and day three, they're required to be there 60 minutes before the trade show opens. So I think that's more just an individual company issue, understanding your staff and what's necessary. Because look, the trade show is very grueling, right? I mean, everybody wants to spend time at night hanging out. Everybody has friends. Everybody wants to go and see this and do that. So, you got to be you got to be really iron fisted about it. Luckily, in my case, I don't have to be because I have a very mature group that I'm working with. But I can tell you, in the past, it's like herding cats sometimes. They're your employees, but they spend a lot of time out till 3:30 in the morning, right? And when you got to show up at the trade show the next morning, it's a little rough. So I'm
Don't
not
talk about
surprised.
Pete Hernandez in a negative fashion. Okay, Steve.
Hey,
We
dude,
love Pete.
I'm not naming names, but
Look, we had a couple on our team that were out late too, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
but it's a lot longer day than I think most of the attendees realize,
Yeah.
because you're there doing setup, and then you have whatever you have to do that night. And then in my case, almost everybody they should be getting to their booth at least an hour before the show opens up. And I can tell you, every day we got kicked off the trade show floor like at around at least an hour and 15 minutes after. In fact, I have a personal relationship with the guy that kicks us out, Mr.
Mm.
Smiles. So I mean, so it's not a, it's not, it's a long day, the trade shows. It really is. And then, of course, with the third day being the breakdown day, which is really, really rough now, having to, you had your people work for 3 straight days, really for 5 straight days, right? Because we have 2 days before the show opens that they're working. And then you got the 3 days of the show. And then you close the show out and you have to do the breakdown that evening. It's my people are still in the booth until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night on the last day of the trade show. It's a lot. It's a much harder it's much harder than I think most of the attendees actually realize what goes into doing the trade show.
All right, let's talk about sales, and I'm not asking for specific numbers or anything like that, but how were sales
Fucking
for?
crushed it. No,
No,
I mean,
everyone
we
crushes it.
heard a lot of I think we heard a lot of the normal stuff about, first day was better than all of last year, kind of a thing from a fair number of people. But
okay. You want
thoughts
a
from
really long, honest story?
sure.
This is so.
Beat it up though.
So day one, at 2:30, my 2 o'clock appointment ended early, and I just kind of looked out and look, all my people were busy and they were writing orders, but it felt really soft to me. It just did. Just the general feel of things just didn't feel good. And look, we know real-time numbers, so I could get up and ask, but I've never ever asked before. So I was reluctant to ask because as soon as I ask, everybody knows I'm kind of concerned about the
Yeah.
number. And but I kept kind of watching it the last 3 hours, and I really thought we did half as much on day one as we did the previous year. That was really just generally where I was at. And when Lafferty sat down and said, "Are you ready for the numbers?" And I said, "Yes." Lafferty did his typical Lafferty thing. "What do you think it is?" And look, we don't set goals. So like they have no like basis. They know what we did last year on day one, right? Because they
Right.
all know, but we don't have a number. And I didn't want to give him, I really thought we did about half of what we did last year on day one. And last year's day one was our best day one ever. And I didn't even want to say that number because I wanted him to be able to say the team that I know is going to be demoralized because they know the number.
Right.
I wanted him to be able to say, look, Saka knew it was going to be ugly and he kind of prepared for this and boom, boom, boom. So you actually beat the number he had in his head. So I said a number that was like not 50% of what we did the previous year, but 40% of the number we did the previous year. And he just kind of looked at me and goes, "Are you fucking with me?" And my instant gut reaction was, "Oh my God, we
It's
did
worse.
worse than that? It's worse than that, really?" We did double on day one of what we did last year. And then
Nice.
something escaped my mouth that sounded like some tween girl during the height of the Backstreet Boys that had just scored front row tickets for me and three of my friends plus backstage passes. I was totally stunned at the amount of business that we did this trade show. I was blown away. I really was.
Nice.
It was crazy. And I have never, this is my 33rd trade show. I have never misjudged a trade show worse than I misjudged this for internally in my booth.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've never totally like missed it like this. I totally, and then of course, now I had a totally different set of rosy glasses that made my day two experience different, my day three experience different. But literally around 2:30 on day one, I was like, oh my God, this is a shit show. And it wasn't that the people weren't busy. They were writing orders the whole time, and the booth was occupied. But I don't know, it didn't seem as lively,
Mm.
didn't seem as enthusiastic to me. And that's just me sitting in my fat ass in the chair looking out at everybody. So I had a really weird trade show experience that I've never had before.
I think I know why. In 2021, we were just excited to be there. I think people were there to write orders and spend money. And I
Apparently they
think
were.
it was
God
more
bless them.
somber, but it wasn't negative. It's just, I mean, people need cigars.
Obviously people were just doing the professional thing they needed to do and move along with their day. I mean, that's obviously the experience we had, at least I had, sitting where I was sitting. I mean, it was crazy. And I've talked to a bunch of people. Like I said, I have a small group of like three of us that are like in this mid tier that we just promised each other 7 years ago we would always just share our honest numbers. And my other two people in my circle, they were down for the year.
Mm.
Then I've talked to a bunch of other people, and it seemed like, from what I'm getting, the fringe guys did more business than they normally would do, and they had a very, very good experience. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Some people seem to have done really, really well, and other people it was a softer experience for them.
Hmm.
And Mike, how was your experience like?
Uh, Interesting. It was interesting. Day one for us, well, for one, for starters, we're definitely getting better at being more efficient,
Mm.
right? So there's that, and Palmer's doing a great job understanding his role and kind of handling sales. So day one for us, we had more orders than we did the previous show. However, our number was less. And you saw the pullback from a lot of your retailers as far as more conservative buying, more conscientious make choices instead of saying, I'll take this package, this package. All right, good, right? Um, so it wasn't bad. It was good for what I expected as far as traffic wise. The number was a little less. Day two fell off hard,
Mm.
about half of what we did the year prior, which I thought was interesting. Um, again, we were busy. We had people coming in, but sales were less. The really strange part, though, was our day three blew out day three of the prior year. We had
Mm.
people in the booth the entire time, and we had sales orders being written. So it wound up being a better show numbers wise at the end when we were done, but it wasn't double. I mean,
Right.
but
Have you
it
ever
was
heard the concept of a day one, day two, day three company, Mike?
no.
Yeah, so like one of the basic philosophies in these trade shows are certain companies are day one companies, certain companies are day two, and certain companies are day three companies,
Okay.
right? And I know as we have grown, we have migrated to where now day one is our best number day, and day two is our next best number day. And look, it pretty much halves. Our day one number is the benchmark. Our day two number is about half as much. And then our day three number is about half as much as our day two number. Is kind of the progression that we've gotten to. Um, I know originally we were really pretty much a day 3.5 company back when we used to have that. And we just kind of have slowly migrated up the way. And I think the other thing too is I know that a lot of companies, the deals get juicier as the days go by. It doesn't change on paper, but when you're sitting with somebody directly, if their day one is soft, their day two, they'll be like, yeah, let me throw in a little extra something. And then their day three, they'll throw. So there are some retailers that genuinely play that game, understanding that, hey, I'm going to try to hit later in the show rather than early in the show because maybe I'll get a little bit better deal at the end of the show than I would have gotten at the front end of the show. Now, for us, that doesn't work because we have the same shitty deal the whole show, and we don't change what we do. But that is definitely a retailer strategy from a buyer perspective. I don't know, Jay, have you ever employed that? I don't know if you have or haven't, but that is, I mean, I've seen that over the years, this day
Not
one,
not
day two deal.
not really, but I will say that when I schedule my show, um, I try to hit my top 10 accounts the first 2 days, and the third day is taking care of some of my smaller accounts that I'm growing. Um, so I definitely see that strategy, but I do know retailers that they'll press really hard on smaller brands, which I think is unfortunate for deeper discounts. Um, but I think we saw you day two,
See,
so
for
sorry we didn't
me,
buy that
I
much.
don't really blame the retailer. I mean, it's the manufacturers. They have the right to make the decision of saying yes or no,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't fault the retailers for trying to get the best deal that they can get. It doesn't offend me in any way. And you just as a manufacturer, as a brand owner, you get to decide yay or nay if this makes sense to you. Just the same way
Yeah.
as people bringing extra people. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I said this last year on the podcast. I don't understand how people get everything done on Saturday and Sunday. I
Um,
need Monday.
Well,
I'd like to
Well,
have
dude,
Tuesday.
you want to talk about a PCA bitch? You guys are fucking morons. Why don't you make this show gala on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, working day, Friday, the leave day? That's what makes sense. And then
Oh my
I
God.
I
you
had
wouldn't have
proposed that.
retailers bouncing out the way they
I
bounce out.
I had proposed that at board meetings, and other people have too. There is a growing minority on the board that wants that to happen. The
Yeah,
problem
and
is they're
it
kind of
only makes
locked
it
until
honestly
2029.
as an exhibitor, it's better. And actually, I think as a retailer, they'd rather have the opportunity of being back in their shops
Yeah.
like if they want to leave early Friday or leave even Thursday night, they're in their stores Friday, Saturday. Because I know there's a lot of small operators that they don't have the coverage, so they really would rather be in their store on a Saturday than on a Tuesday.
Or parlaying it into a vacation. You can bring the family in or whatever.
Whatever they want to do, but
Yeah,
this
I totally agree,
nonsense of
Steve.
doing it over the
Totally.
weekend is just crazy to me. No large, to my knowledge, when I look at like big trade shows, they're almost always during the weekdays. They're during the normal business hours. And of course, as an exhibitor, you're going to have to be there over the weekend to set up.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to have to stay a little late into the weekend, but that's part of the deal of being an exhibitor. We always have front end days and back end days, right? We fly in Tuesday to not leave until the next Wednesday. So for us, this is just the way it is. And part of that is, do we need to be there that long? No. But if things are fucked up, we need that extra day on either end to figure out, okay, why is this not shown up? Where is this? Oh, we're having problems getting things. So as an exhibitor, we already know that we're going to block 8 days in a minimum to do a 3 day trade show, 3.5 day
Oh, yeah,
trade
you're
show,
you're preaching. I mean, I want to get there Sunday night,
right?
do 7 hours on Monday,
Right.
and
But
then
as
do
an
Tuesday, Wednesday,
exhibitor,
Thursday.
that's what I would really love them to move it to a weekday schedule because that just makes more sense to me. And then you would not have retailers flying out on a Sunday to try to get back to their shop for the beginning of the work week. They would go, okay, this week is dedicated to the trade show.
correct me if I'm wrong, Coop, but I think during the media presentation with Josh, I think that came up, and I'm pretty sure I recall Josh saying that the board was considering seriously considering shifting
I don't even
the
know what
schedule.
there is to
So
consider. It's
Well,
just
they
basic
said
common sense.
a shift from Friday to Monday to Thursday to Sunday.
yeah,
So
That's
it wasn't a
nuts.
complete shift. And I don't know necessarily if that will solve the problem either.
No. It should be a Monday through Friday affair.
I think ideally, Steve, and you know this better than me. I think they charge more on the weekends for setup. So
They do. So it
have
actually
your setup,
costs
have your
less to
setup
not
Monday
do
and
it over
Tuesday.
the weekend.
So have your setup Monday, Tuesday. Have the show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Friday night you have a big gala.
Let me say this. I would be better with that than this Saturday, Sunday, Monday nonsense.
I agree, 100%.
What do
Yeah.
you think, Mike? I mean, you
Yeah, you know what? I've been kind of preaching that same thing, that same fashion, for a while now too. The devil's advocate of it for me though was interesting to see how many people were there for day three this time around.
Yeah.
I've never had that many people on day three. I
but
never
let's
had that
be
many.
honest, the trade show's so large, you can't do the trade show in 2 days.
Right.
No, yeah,
But 3 days is really a stretch as a retailer.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really is. I mean, look at the media guys. They can only cover X number of booths. I mean, I miss the half day. I really genuinely
I do too.
I
Yeah,
feel
you too.
so
Yeah,
bad
100%.
that at the end of day three that I have to tell my people that, oh, guess what? You now have to work another 5 or 6 hours, right? Where the other way it was when it ended at 1 in the afternoon, then it was like not such a big deal, So I miss the half day part personally, but okay, fine. We're gonna do a 3 day show. Fine. Let's just put it in days that make sense at least.
yeah.
Question for you, Mike. On day three, did you have a lot of new accounts or was it existing accounts?
It was a good blend. It was a good blend. I actually kind of threw out, which was awesome. Because we got some retailers that I know of that you've heard of that have come around, and they were there on day one all the way up to day three. And then you still had your guys that wanted to get to you that have done business with you, but they didn't have time to get to you until day three. So that was pretty fascinating. For me this year, I felt like there was a lot of unintentional compliments. Like I got a lot of, oh, they came to see you. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, oh yeah, I guess, yeah. You know, um, and that happened more than once. So,
But don't you
um,
don't you think that's a byproduct of just the longevity of the brand?
yeah, working your ass off. Yeah,
Of course, but I
oh,
mean,
yeah.
I mean
Uh,
you're not a fresh name. I mean, you're
no,
fresh to a lot of shops, but I can tell you, even us, I think we got 60 new account inquiries at this year's trade show. Now, sadly, we don't have time to open those accounts because it takes us so long to explain all the stuff that we need to explain to them. So we don't really have a lot of opportunity so we kind of hand them the packet and say, "Hey, look at all of this and let us contact you after the show so we can walk you through everything with some time." But I mean, we probably had, I mean, obviously the first 3, 4 years we got a lot more new account inquiries, but compared to last year, we got more new account inquiries this trade show than we did the previous trade show.
yeah. And that was fascinating about this show. You know, um, it went really well. It really did. There's one media company that refuses to cover me, but everybody else does.
Yeah, dude, come on, Cigar Aficionado.
They'll
They're
come
not
around.
to me. I'm persona non grata, dude.
It's a matter of time.
They would burn an effigy if they could.
I will say anecdotally from a media perspective, last year and certainly all years, the last day, you see a sharp drop off in traffic. And I would say noticeably just going into booths where, day three is kind of our catch the guys we missed day. And that was a struggle this year. A lot of the booths that we anticipated to get on day three, we're too busy writing orders on day three from the actual get-go of 10 a.m. They had people in the booth, and we'd cycle back 3, 4, 5 times, and every time we'd cycle back, there was people in the booth, which is, again, it's pretty subjective, so it's hard to say whether it's just some booths, but it was noticeable enough that
In
it
our
was
case,
not the ghost town that it normally is.
it didn't. We had more action on day three than we've had previously.
Yeah. And the I didn't have time to walk around at all this year at all. I stepped out of the booth, I think, twice for maybe 20 minutes. And I could tell you within those 20 minutes, people came back and said, "Well, we stopped by the booth and we missed you." I was like, "I've been here this whole goddamn time." Like I
Yeah.
stepped out once. So, and I don't take lunch or anything. I just
And me
bang it
either.
out, you know.
Yeah,
Got
I
to.
stepped out to piss a few times. Luckily, that's why. So actually, that's one of the major things that where the restroom is has a lot to do with where I choose the booth to be.
There you go.
It really is. I mean, the only time I stepped out of the booth was, and I didn't even know this when I scheduled the Boveda media appointment. I didn't realize that I had to go to their booth to do the media
Oh
appointment.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't look. I understand why they had a nice little setup and a
Yep.
professional camera and yada yada yada. But that was the only time I stepped out of the booth. So I saw personally I saw almost none of the trade show floor at all
Mhm.
this year, less than I've ever seen before.
All right, Jay, purchasing side, you kind of touched on it a little bit early on, but did you stick to your strategy? You buy more than you were looking for? You open up new accounts that you saw? What was going on?
No, I held to my budget this year and last year. Um, we restocked where we needed to restock, and then for very established brands in our store, um, we brought in some of their new stuff. And then there are other brands out there that we carry that just haven't been moving. So we didn't visit those booths, and Mike took it well. But we try to be honest with people because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, we're going to stop by if the brand isn't moving. Just try to be upfront with people. But yeah, we only brought in one new brand. We talked to a couple other brands that we're considering. We'll probably pick them up in the next couple of years. Um, but right now, I mean, our customers like what they like. Uh, there were a couple of lines that, for example, I'll give you. I don't know if Justin Andrews is still here. He's
He's there.
probably at some.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's still
he's
here.
probably at some airport club. But I'll give you an example. Two lines that we considered last year that uh, I really kind of wanted to bring in, but my employees weren't ready. Were the appointment and the Rubicon, and one of the Partagas reduced. So I had some free time. I got to the general booth very early on Saturday around 9:15, and it wasn't quite totally packed yet, but it got packed very quickly. So we picked those up because we were interested in those brands last year. So it's like right now I have an idea of who I'm going to go see next year because of this year. And we brought in the appointment like we planned. And in fact, they had a new one, which, by the way, Justin, you'd be happy to know it's selling very well. And the Rubicon set a record. We opened the box, put the price tag on it, and somebody bought a box 5 minutes later. So that's an example of where sometimes you need to kind of sit and think about a brand. And then when your customers are ready, they start asking for it. Then at the next trade show, or maybe 2 or 3 trade shows later, you buy it. It just takes time sometimes. But the answer to your question is yes, we spent our budget, but we also developed an idea we've already planned out a lot of the new booths we're going to go to next year. And then there are some booths that we go to every 2 years and some booths every 3 years. And we know that rotation will change.
How many
Obviously, there's
booths
like
do you think you visit in an average trade show, Jay?
50.
Because I mean, I
Uh,
would consider you oh God, how do I say it without being offensive?
you're not
Uh,
going to hurt my feelings.
but like a really good, mid-tier Class A tobacconist, right? I don't,
Mhm.
I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I'm just
I
talking
don't take it as such.
the volume that your shop does. You kind of fit in that kind of model. So
Hmm.
I think the fact that you visit 50 booths, that's a lot of booths. I mean, how many facings do you have open on your shelves?
14, 1,500. I don't know.
All right, so
Um,
that's a pretty How many do you have on your shelves, Mike?
Probably 800 or 900, I'd say.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean,
So for example, let's say we have a lot of companies like Rocky Patel, Perdomo, My Father, Placencia, Oscar. Those are five I can think off the top of my head. We
that's
carry
a
all those
topic I'm
brands,
dying to discuss. Can we talk
and
about
we did not go to any of their booths. Now, what we did was we ordered in March, or we ordered in early April from them. Same thing with Leva. We ordered earlier before the show, and then if I was interested in the new product, I just pre-ordered the new product. So that freed me up to go to other people that where I'm developing, or there are certain appointments like Fuente's always an hour, Dunbarton's almost always an hour, LaFleur for me is almost an hour. So I want to have time, and it's not that I'm not like, so next year I will go to the Rocky booth, and then there might be other companies that I'll buy ahead of time, so that frees up, because I need 4 days to do the trade show, and so that's a strategy that we do, is that, like Placencia, we basically put in the trade show order the first week of March. And so it wasn't that we didn't want to see Placencia, but we wanted to free up that time to go visit others. So we can go see 50 booths. Now, there were probably 10 or 15 booths where I just came in, talked to the brand owner, learned a little bit about their cigars, got some samples, maybe hung out for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I moved on. But then there are other brands, like I think Domain's a good example. Domain, I think this is their third trade show. I didn't go see them the first year, but I ordered samples from Daniel during the year. Last year we did a very strategic purchase. This year I came and I had 40 minutes scheduled, and we bought deep. So that's it's a progression with every company, and you have to decide if, who you want to grow with. But yeah, strategically you can't hit everybody. And there were a number of people, I just texted them and said, I cannot make it to your booth this year, but let's talk in 2 months, or let's talk in 3 months. So they'll just get bought after the trade show, because you can't go to every brand that you carry. We carry 80 brands. I can't go to 80 booths.
Right. But you're also a very mature retailer. I mean, look,
I've made a lot of mistakes. Yeah.
I think that most retailers, they buy too much too quick too soon when they're having their early trade show experiences. It's one of the things that whenever I talk to new retailers, I always tell them, just, don't buy any deals. Figure out what works in your shop, what turns, and then it's a math equation. Is it worth me spending X to get whatever the deal is? And then that, hey, I turned this much product in 3 months, 4 months, 8 months, whatever it is. And then you're just saying, hey, it's worth me investing this extra cash flow into
Yeah.
getting
I don't do
achieving a
deals.
discount. But
I'll put in my order.
I think most retailers in their early years, they buy too much, they spend too much, they really do, and it kind of cripples them, and they all almost universally learn that lesson that, look, as you well know, Mike and yourself, that how you buy is so critical to how your business operates. It really truly is. And look, the trade show is a very shiny beast, and we're all trying to entice you to spend too much. Most companies are trying to entice you to spend too much. I like to think we don't do that, but look, we're guilty of it to a degree. I mean, by the number of new releases that we offer. Um, so, I mean, it's. I often see this thing with younger retail shops. They they get a little too gung ho in their early years, and then it takes them 2 or 3 years to recover and learn their lesson, that they have to think about their budget, they have to think their cash flow, they have to think about their turns, they have to do the math as to whether the deals make sense to them, you know. So, because look, the trade show on my end, we're gonna feast on your dead bodies, right? I mean, I'm just telling you that's the general perspective of manufacturers, right? They're there to kill and hunt. That's what they're there, hunt and kill. I gotta get that order right. But I mean, that is kind of the way it typically works.
You're right.
So
Uh,
it's hard. It's hard as a retailer.
there's one company in particular that we do good business with. They're probably in our top 20, and they typically have 9-1, 17-3, whatever. And every year I have where I want to be, and they try to push me. So this year I didn't go to the booth, and I sent them an email 2 days after the show, and I said, "This is my order,"
Yeah.
because you get bullied so often, you don't want to deal with it. And I've done that too. I mean, it's great if you buy 8 boxes and get 3 free, but then if you got to put that receipt on your credit card and pay 29% interest for the next year,
Dude, it's only
did you
free
really
if it
make out of that?
turns.
Yeah.
It's only free if it turns. If you don't
Yeah.
realize that, if you don't get the turns out of it, it's dead weight. It's gambling essentially as a retailer. That's why, look, my advice always to all retailers is don't leverage yourself into a deal unless you know what it actually turns, and then it's just simply a math equation for you that, hey, if I spend X number of dollars on something to get this discount to hit this level, I know that I'm going to cash recover in 4 months, 6 months, whatever your threshold is. I mean, it's kind of the way the Gold Star program works with Altadis, right? I mean, you buy in that heavy because you know that you're going to turn that amount of out to this, so therefore, this actually makes sense for you to do this. And but I mean, I think it's something that we as an industry aren't very good at educating the retailers about. Because look, the general consensus is you want to sell as much as you can, but ultimately, sometimes selling as much as you can actually backfires.
Yeah.
I think
All right.
preparation is important too. Going back to the press release thing, watching Coop and Aaron for 2 weeks, talking, having their virtual trade show, reading press releases from you and from other people, that has a lot to do with where I'm going to go. Um, Knowing who has the new products I'm interested in, that helps. That saves a lot of time. You got to prep ahead of time. You can't just pack your suitcase and go to the trade show and just start spending money, which I did that the first couple of years I was a retailer and I paid the price.
Yeah.
I know from our perspective, we don't really try to advertise to you. We try to advertise to the consumer because we want them to badger you into buying something.
I'll give you a perfect example. I had no interest in bringing in McAuliffe White. I do well with McAuliffe. They're growing with us. But I'm like, how many colors do I have to hear? I
Dude,
got
the box of
15 phone.
crayons, man, 64 colors.
I got 15 calls during a 3 week period because of their communication with their consumers asking for McAuliffe White. So I ordered it before the trade show. I was going to wait till the trade show to order it. The boxes landed within an hour. They were all sold. So McAuliffe got the biggest order they've ever got from me this year because they had done a good job, like you, communicating with their consumers. And I think when companies do that, consumers will tell you, hey, I'm interested in this or I'm not interested in this. That also helps inform your decisions of what you're going to buy at the trade show.
Hey, Mike, how does your podcast figure into this? Because I have to admit, I'm guilty of not listening to a lot of podcasts, but you guys are so good at doing those short reel clip outs that they're really super enticing.
Thank you.
They're excellent. I mean, I have to assume that it helps. I mean, I mean, in all the clip outs, I don't ever see any of your brand stuff for the most part.
Yeah,
Right?
because it's not about the brand for me. We had a conversation a few years ago. I don't know if you remember, but my theory and my thought has always been I get discouraged when I see brands and manufacturers always aggressively trying to cut a bigger piece of the pie instead of making a bigger pie. So at that point, I determined, well, if they're not going to do it, I'm going to have to do it. So that's what the podcast is about. And that's the main focal point for me. It's the bane of my existence. It makes us zero money, but I do believe that it helps us grow as an industry. So I don't focus on the
You
brand.
don't think it helps you grow as a company, though?
I think it does organically just through time because people,
Yeah.
they understand who I am and what I represent and the product that is attached to
I mean,
me.
the fact that it catches my eye, and I'm such a jaded fuck,
Yeah,
that's
it's
that's a
true.
that's a pretty high bar.
Thank you. You are very
Really,
jaded,
I
but
mean, and it does. It catches my eye.
yeah, I mean,
It has to bring more people to your retail store.
it
It has to
does.
give you greater presence. It has to elevate your brand, even if you're not directly advertising your brand in those segments. I mean, it
Yeah,
just it makes you just feel, well, look, you guys obviously you have a very authentic exchange,
right.
which is what makes it so compelling to, I think, consumers. Because look, every major advertising, marketing, media company, all they preach to you is how can you be more authentic, right? That's like they're trying to invent you becoming authentic.
Right.
But I always feel it always gives me an authentic feel when I see them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always 100% honesty, and sometimes it upsets people. Sometimes it people gravitate towards it. My intention has always been well. I've never tried to harm anybody, but I do like to correct people when I think they're making a mistake, and I think people gravitate towards that. And what happens is the consumer at that point starts to ask questions like, "Who are these guys? Who's Palmer? Why is this weird guy in a mask?" and what are they doing? So then they start to invest more time and energy in kind of figuring that out, and that turns a consumer for sure. I never try and I never try and draw them into the store. I always try my best to educate them about brands that I like. Obviously, I like the one that I built,
Of
right?
course.
So it naturally kind of generates that way. Normally, when someone reaches out to me and they say, "Hey, where can I buy your cigars?" I recommend, first of all, I ask where are they located? Because I try and get them to a retailer that has it in that area. And then I recommend some of the other online stores that carry them. I never mention Cigar Hustler or anything else. It, so what we did to kind of offset that to try and give it some value because it's expensive. Equipment's expensive. Constantly trying to upgrade,
Dude, the time is expensive. That's the
the
most
time is
costly
tremendous.
thing. It's only 24 hours a day. And
Yeah, and we
time
move
is the limited commodity that we all struggle against.
100%. And so we decided to transition to every weekday, um, because no one else is doing it. So we're like, hey, we're just gonna hit it. We're gonna go, pedal to the metal and just keep going. So, it tracks well. It tracks well for consumers that are already in the industry. It tracks well for people that are interested about things in life and perspective, and you hope to turn them into cigar smokers. So it seems to be working.
Yeah. Let me
Um,
apologize to Aaron for like derailing his
That's
show.
all right. We'll get back on track here.
I
through him.
apologize. I'm going to blame it on the Lagavulin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
I'm a
That's all right.
half
Yeah,
bottle in
Aaron.
though.
New brands. There were a lot of new brands at the trade show this year.
We're there.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, there was
Uh,
a staggering number of new
we didn't get a
brands.
chance to really stop by and talk to too many of them.
Same
I'm
here.
curious
Yeah, we really
about,
didn't. We
yeah,
really
Coop,
didn't
did you
either.
get a chance to do that? I know since you cut down on coverage, you kind of probably had targets you had to hit. So,
It was hard. I mean, that was one thing we really regretted. We usually have Aaron Nielsen do that piece for
Yeah.
us, and we didn't have him, and that was a big hit for us. And it wasn't done, like I said, on purpose by any means. But
yeah.
Aaron typically scours the floor, and he's the one who found us like Chamali last year and things like that. So that piece was we were just resource constrained, unfortunately, with that
Right.
this year. It wasn't like we did really want to do that.
And Jay, did you come across any new brands that you kind of visited and had any discussions with?
Yeah, I met I'm going to mispronounce her name, Luisa Batista with LB Cigars.
Hmm.
Uh, I didn't really know much about her. I'd seen her on social media, but I liked every cigar that she gave me that I smoked since I got back. So she's definitely on my radar. Uh, I had worked with Jeremy Castigli years ago when he was Bespoke Cigars, but he kind of wasn't in the U.S. market after the deeming rule. And it took 3 opportunities to get to talk to him, and we're gonna bring some things in from him probably in the future. Um, let's see. Uh, I went to EGM Cigars. Um, we'll see how the cigars arrive, but I think that brand has potential. I don't know. That's one that you kind of try to roll a hard six on, and you'll see. Um, there's a brand that we brought in last year on a limited basis, AG, Alex from Cuba. We
Hmm.
stopped by their booth. We didn't really get any samples, but it seems like they're getting more organized. Um, we also took some brands like Stolen Thrones that I told I told Lee, I said, "You're one of my post office brands." He goes, "You're to me." I'm like, "The United States government. You're the post office. You don't make any money from me, but I believe in what you're doing." So this was the first year that we gave them a significant order, whereas in the past it was always a couple bundles here or there. So in a lot of ways, it's like a newer brand. Then there are other brands that throughout the year I always request cigar companies send me samples. So that there are a lot of those companies I just did not like their cigars, so it wasn't going to waste my time.
Hey Jay, when you bring in one of these new brands, how much like time do you give it to percolate on your shelves? I mean, look, like I do tremendous business now with smoking. I don't think that's a secret, right?
I had no
But
idea.
honestly, in 2017, he ran a spiff in his stores that he literally sold 26 cigars over an entire month. And he was like five stores, right? So I mean that's just an abject failure, right? That
Yeah.
Dunbarton sold 26 cigars in five stores with a spiff that he paid for. He did that just out of his pocket because he felt bad for me. So I mean, So I mean, it takes a long time for a brand to percolate. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
how much time do you and Mike, when you decide that you're going to make the investment in a small brand, how long do you actually give it to like have a chance? Because it's really hard.
Yeah. It's. Do you mind if I go first, Mike?
Sure. Realistically, yeah, you're right. You got to pick your horses, right? So I think at the end of the day, you probably have three that you're focused on and kind of developing. You have your legacy or whatever that's going to kind of track naturally. And then maybe you have one or two dark horses that you give a shot to. And you have to see how that relationship kind of develops because it has to be twofold. They got to pull with you, right? For one, they got to make a good cigar, which 80% of the time doesn't happen. It's usually some bullshit. Like, as you can see, everybody consecutively nods, right? Like, yeah, right. And then the second thing is, it's like, are they willing, are they willing to invest with you? Are they checking on you, making sure that you're doing all right with the product? What can you do to help them, whatever that may be? What does that look like? Even if it's, just helping promote exposure to your current consumers that, hey, we're over in the spot, something of that magnitude. A lot of these manufacturers and brand owners fall short of that. And then, they come in with the hope and a dream. You've seen it 100 times. They're gonna make a great cigar. They make a subpar cigar, and then they don't. Then they don't back the
And
sales.
I would
So
argue that even a great cigar isn't enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's true. It is true because there are plenty of cigars that have hit really well, but when the guy doesn't pull, when the team isn't aligned with the retailer, things kind of fall off. Cultivating relationships with not only the owner of the store, but the employees is important. Some of the stores that do best for us, you know, I talk to their employees all the time. Like, hey, how's it going? How are things? How's the job? How are the kids? Whatever, right? And that's just because of the person I am. And usually, when you are that way, you develop that relationship. So you have a great cigar. You're a good person. They're a good person. They're going to go out and promote you. So that those things need to all happen. They all need to align. So it's like I joke at times, but like realistically, pick your horses, and then you could try one or two dark horses. Like, well, that's what Jay's trying to do in those scenarios, and then you kind of test the waters to see if the relationship develops. Like mine and Jay, relationship never developed and never took off. So I don't expect Jay to carry our product. I don't expect Jay to sell Postania at all. It just didn't manifest. Do I hate Jay because of that? No, it's
Here's
quite the
the funny
contrary.
part about that is that may turn full circle because we have like a lot of accounts that originally opened with us that did very, very poorly with our brands.
Right.
And ultimately, they've now kind of come back to the fold. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I mean, as long as you maintain a respectful, good relationship, like we're kind of weird. We take product back, we give them the credit, or we actually give them their money back. But there's a lot of accounts that early on, we just like, hey, appreciate you giving us a chance. Send us back whatever you have in unopened boxes, and we'll refund you your cash. That are now some of our best customers 10, 11 years later.
Right.
And look, and we never hit them back up saying, "Hey, we're now different. We've got this, and it's selling really well," and blah blah blah. We just kind of waited until they had enough consumer demand where they kind of came back to the fold, and now you have people that are like, look, there's a lot of people. Bill Fink, great customer, right? Scott Regina, heck, Craig Cass was in my booth for God's sakes, placing an order, right? Craig Cass is a great retailer. I mean, sells a lot of cigars, but he did not have a positive experience with my brand in the early years, and now he's getting consumer demand for it. And guess what? I'm gonna get another shot in Craig's stores. I mean, I hope it does well for him. I think it will do better. So, I mean, it takes a long time. It really does. I don't think people understand how long a grind, gruel. Yeah. However, this is the Scotch talking. How long it sometimes takes for a brand to even have any. Look, I think Jay is doing way, way better with our brand today. Jay was one of our very early adopters, and I think he really struggled to sell it in the early years. And I think, look, we're not like a major, like Jay is not like, oh my God, Dunbarton. But now it's like it makes sense on the shelf. It works for him. You know what I mean? It takes a long time sometimes for these brands to actually be successful. A lot longer than I think most people realize.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other crazy thing too, though, is the employees. You know, new
Having
hires,
someone that champions your cigars in the store makes a massive difference.
huge difference. And when you hear that that person's gone, you're like, oh,
You know,
that sucks, because you know that directly is going to impact you at least 40%.
yeah.
Sometimes worse. And
Yeah.
then you
The
speed up.
worst thing I ever hear from a retailer is that they're opening a second or a third shop.
Really,
Usually the second shop, because they always overspend on the second shop because they build their dream shop,
all right.
and it leaves them so cash poor.
I could totally see that. I
Yeah.
could totally see that. So, that's the fascinating part. Like, I remember when a couple guys transitioned out of retail and then onto the other side. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I love it that you're here, but I hate it that you're here,
Yeah.
you know?
What about you, Jay? I mean, how long does it take, like
Well,
you're betting on these dark horses, as Mike said?
it
How long do
depends.
you give them?
I would say generally 2 years. We've made a lot of bad decisions in the past, but we've gotten better. Like last year, we brought in 3 brands. We brought in Adrian Magnus, who they haven't quite figured out the U.S. market, but their packaging and their price have done well. And so uh, we try to give them good placement at first to sort of rev it up. And then we ask people to try it. Sometimes I'll give out a free cigar just so that they could taste it. But Adrian Magnus has done well. We've reordered with them a number of times. We also brought in Stoic cigars, which did very well. I mean, not very well, but I mean, we did okay. And then we brought in a sister line, Avowed, which has done very well. Um, Domain, I was kind of struggling and talking with Daniel, and I couldn't figure out why the brand, it's doing okay, but it's not flying off the shelves. And then I discovered at the show this year that I'm the only retailer in North Texas that carries the brand. And I'm like, okay, now I understand a little bit more of the work. But yeah, I know you and I had a lot of conversations early on. We never gave up in Dunbarton, but there were probably 8 or 9 or 10 month periods where we just didn't order anything, and it struggled. Now the last 3 years, you've been in our top 10 brands, and you're doing well. And I think it just took time. You were a post office brand for us. We believed in what you were doing. We've had a similar journey with
What
Naked
does that term
Foundation.
mean, post office brand? I've never heard that
Well,
before.
well, the United States government keeps pumping money to the post office, and they keep losing money. So it's a
Ah, got it.
brand that
Okay.
Padron is paying for your shelf space, or
Of course.
Patawai is paying, whatever. So we really believed in what you're doing. And for us, the big change, because a lot of my customers buy from Abe, and that's a double-edged sword. I lose some box sales, but they're interested in the brand and they get singles. But for us, what really turned the corner was Umbagog and Brule. And now I can't keep those in stock. We do very well with your brand across the board. It sends a little weak for us, but I mean, honestly, the brands do well. But it took 6 or 7 years to take. The same thing with Nick. Um, we're right now we're shepherding through some other brands. McAuliffe is a great example. I think the first year with McAuliffe, Dan Thompson and I developed a friendship, and I didn't buy the cigars. We just talked about what I thought they could do better. He was telling me what they had planned. Then the next year we opened the account, and I think we spent $500. And then the next year I think we spent $1,700. We just gave him a $5,000 trade show order. So that took about 4 or 5 years. A lot of that is on them because of the color series, but also they're very good at reaching out. And I think they made a wise decision to partner with 2 guys and with Smoke Inn. And I was at first a little critical of that, but I think it expanded. They did what they needed to do for people to start asking for their brand. And it took about 4 or 5 years. Right now, we're sort of nurturing a relationship with Aventura. I really believe in what Henderson's doing, but it's a little tougher.
He's a very talented young cigar maker.
Yeah, I think he's making some very good cigars. And so there have been years where we've come in and we've placed a 60 box order, and then other years we placed a 5 box order. And, that brand is slowly growing. So then when I went down to the Dominican, I made time with my customers. We went and spent time with Henderson, and he got to know my customers. Um, I think Mike made a great point too, that I think a lot of sales reps should be fired from this industry. They come in, if I'm not there, they don't want to talk to anybody. And I've had to just straight out tell reps, dude, I'm here 6 days a week, but I've got this guy who works 40 hours a week and this guy who works 40 hours a week. When they're working, I'm usually at home.
We
If
don't know
you
how
won't
it
even
is. A
talk to them
consumer
or give
comes
them
in
a
and
sample,
says, "What's a really good, strong, dark cigar?" And 3 or 4 brands at most are going to come out of his mouth. So,
yeah,
what are
like,
the 3 or 4 brands that he's going to walk that consumer into?
and if he doesn't know the brand, hasn't had samples, like I'll give you an example. When we brought in United, particularly selected tobacco, that was a really difficult decision because their cigars are expensive. Every time Oliver Nouveau, I don't know how he does it, between traveling to Madrid and everywhere, and he always is always dapperly dressed. Oliver comes into my store about 4 times a year. He always will hand my manager an Atabey or a Byron and leave one for the other manager, and he spends time talking to them, getting to know them. So they smoke because I'm sorry, you're not getting a $50 shift cigar. That's not going to happen. But Oliver gives them a couple of Atabeys. They smoke it. They're like, holy, this is great. Then they're willing to recommend it. So I think that's where Oliver, as the rep, the president of sales, whatever, did a great job. So it's got to be a partnership of working together. And nothing against Mike. I mean, we first did okay with this brand because I had a consumer that really liked his cigars, and then him and his wife had a baby that was in the hospital for 8 months after she was born, and he just stopped buying the cigars. And then, no disrespect, you got resources, but it's Mike Palmer's never been in my store. I don't know if Mike's ever been in my store. And we did okay. And we haven't given up on the brand. We still have it on the shelf. But it takes time. Like I said, Steve, you and I had conversations. I think year 4, you're just like, hey, if you want to just shut it down, we'll shut it down. I'm like, well, no, let's just give it some more time. So it's a nurturing process. But one mistake I used to make as a retailer is you go to the trade show and bring in 10 new brands. That's a mistake. You've got to bring in 3 brands, 2 brands, 1 brand, and you got to nurture it. Like, I'll give you an example. A brand we did not bring in at the trade show last year that I heard about from media was Chamali. I got to give Aaron Nielsen credit for that. I reached out to them. They sent me samples. Nah, I didn't really like them that much. I reached out again. I said, could you send me some more samples? I had my staff smoke them. And like, hey, there's a possibility here. And we brought them in March. And they're doing okay. And so at the trade show, I did not place an order, but I came in. I wanted to meet them personally because I had not met them. And that's a very young relationship. But I think Chamali has legs. The customers that we've given them to and they have bought, they like the cigars. And if somebody's never heard of a brand, it's kind of difficult. Because I'm never going to be like, oh, this smokes just like a Rocky Patel. You don't ever want to do this. Somebody wants a Rocky, you sell them a Rocky. If somebody wants a Perdomo, you sell them a Perdomo.
I
But a lot of
think
times people
I know
will
this
just
became
ask.
a recent controversy, but I think Abe's rant on KMA about it's not the responsibility of the retailer to promote your brand.
He was 100% right.
It's just not. I mean, retailers are in the business of putting things on their shelves and selling what their customers ultimately want. That's the reason why they come to the store. So I think that concept that some of the small boutiques have, that they think that there's a free pass. And I think, and I hear these complaints about the legacy companies, but look, Rocky Patel was a tiny brand. Nick Perdomo was a tiny brand. They all started at the same shitty place
Yeah.
that everybody started at in their 10 by 10 booth. I mean, there's no free lunch in our business. There never has been, and there never will be. It's a hard grind. It really truly is, and I think that's something that I think it's hard. I think it's really hard for the boutique guys to understand. I always get amazed by the boutique guys that get like a big box order and they think that they've instantly made it. And I'm like, dude, that's like the worst thing you could have ever done, that big box order. You're brand number 1,000 on the list. I mean, it's just simply brutal. You know,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Uh,
It's fine when you have traction, but until you have traction, that big box order is almost like a death knell.
yeah. Abe's right. We had a brand we brought in 4 trade shows ago. and it did really well initially. And then they came out with a new cigar that was just awful. And we had, what I didn't say it was awful. My customer said it was awful. They wanted their money back. And it was just not on par with his other releases. So I called and said, hey, we placed 3 reorders with you. People are not liking the cigar. And their response was to just call us or email us again. And then they got local representation who I respect in the marketplace. But, and I know the brand's doing well other places, but my attitude is I don't feel like they want to put in the effort.
I think we all have that experience, right, Mike? I mean, you have stores that are killing it with your brand.
Yeah, of course.
You have other stores that it's soft in. I mean, I have the same experience.
Yeah, but I think it's up to the retailer to help too. I think
Agreed.
that I think that you have to, again, it has to be an ebb and a flow. Like, look, man, we're all in this together. We all got to pull, right? And you pick who you're going to pull with, and you hope that they're going to pull with you. It's just that simple. So, that's always how I've looked at things. I don't entirely agree with, it's up to you. It's up to us. So I'll look at a brand and say, hey, so this didn't fly. There's some things that I can be doing better, right? To focus more on your
But is
brand.
it your responsibility to do better?
I think it is.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with it. I think a retailer's responsibility is to sell what they're. I know Aaron's looking at me like, what?
Yeah, we gotta get this back on track. We're gonna be here all night. We'll have to get another
I
panel.
see it
show
in his
about-
eye. I
about
see
how
it
to
in his
run a-
eye.
Well,
How to run a
I will
shop.
wrap it in a diplomatic bow.
All right.
A lot of it too is the consumers that come in your store. There are brands that I don't do well with, like Esteban Carreras and Perdomo, that do very, very well in other stores in Dallas. And sometimes it's just the mix of the collective palette of who goes into their stores. And it doesn't mean that Nick Perdomo is doing a bad job or Esteban Carreras is doing a bad job. It just, there might be 8 guys at a particular store that really like that profile, whereas at my store, there might only be 2. And it doesn't mean that Mike is falling down on the job. It just, you just work other places, and it's difficult when you're a new brand.
All right. Talk about some standout brands or cigars. Anything
Okay.
that media saw or retailer saw.
I said, Aaron, I know you disagreed with me on this. I thought this was one of the better years for cigars at the trade show this year. And I haven't said that probably in about 13 years.
See, I won't say anything like that until like all the cigars are smoked and we kind of see the scores at the end of the year.
I'm just saying what I sampled from the
Right.
floor.
Yeah.
It was much better this year.
Okay.
There were good releases this year.
Yeah. That Postani Sumatra is money, buddy. I gotta tell you.
I have to buy it.
A lot of
though,
good
so-
stuff. There were a lot of good
We
stuff.
have to buy it first. We didn't get any samples, so
I loved
like
it, so I agree with you, Mike.
You gotta send me some samples, Mike. You never know.
As soon as they come in, I will send you all samples.
Just a suggestion, and this is a total dick thing to say on a public forum.
Perfect.
But something you could do. I got 3 or 4 boxes of Connecticut I've had for 2 years that aren't selling. Take them back and replace them with Sumatra.
Would you like me to
I've
take them back
had
for
companies
you?
do that, and it's worked.
I will do this for you. Out of my heart.
Wow, look at this. We're doing
Because-
Making deals.
Well, Mike does make a good point. Yes, it may be more on the manufacturers to get a brand started, but it isn't us. It has to be people working together in our industry. There's so many enemies out there, like state governments and the FDA and all that we need to find common ground as an industry and work together.
STG, since Justin's probably passed out by now, but
Hey, I will say this. I hate the dark soul of STG, but the people I know from STG, like Kenny Bourne, he's been a rep for 30 years, Justin Andrews, Chris Tarr, these are good people, and they work really hard. And I've been at their factories. They still make a lot of really good cigars. I don't understand Dad Bod or whatever, but STG is making some good cigars. Let's not beat them up too bad.
This
I'm
Bradley
gonna
30th is what they should have been doing for a while. This is a great cigar they did.
I still
Which
feel
one?
I need to pick on Justin because Justin's said some mean things.
I
in
love
the comment
Justin.
section.
What
So-
are you smoking, Coop?
The Alec Bradley 30 years.
I have not smoked my sample, but I've heard from a lot of people that they really like that.
It's kind of a throwback to the Alec Bradley of Alan Rubin. and it was an excellent cigar. And I think they did a great job with price point this year too at STG.
Yes.
They did a really good job at price point this year.
They listened. I didn't see any Cohiba Spectres.
They don't need to sell Cohiba Spectre though at the trade show. That's why I think
No.
it was they had a very smart strategy. They didn't. I don't think they released anything but like a Cohiba sampler or something this year.
They had so many good releases that there were releases I'm like, okay, I can't take this, but I'm considering them because they had probably 8 or 9 releases that were pretty impressive and well priced. I got to give them credit.
You know,
I'm never going to hear the end of it now from Justin, but
I mean, Jay, we talked about Carbon Flower. I mean, and that's not a cheap cigar, but my goodness, did LaFleur like knock that one out of the park this year?
Right here, baby. This cigar is phenomenal, and it's a little big for me. I can't figure out how to do this, but
I can't see
Put it in front of your face.
Fade it out.
Put it in front of your-
There you
put it in
go.
front of
Now
your
you see it. Yep.
I did not want to buy this when I went to the trade show because I'm like, I don't want to buy 5 cigars that are $200. And they're like, well, Jay, we have you allocated for like 15 or 20 of these. I'm like, I want 50. And I had to go to Junior to get approval and Eddie Guerrero. But that's how much I like this cigar. And I did not expect that. But this cigar, even if it didn't come with a carbon fiber case, I'd spend $40 for this cigar. I was blown away. And this is like you said, Coop, there are a lot of really impressive cigars. I thought Crown Heads, for example, had a great show.
Good God.
Domain.
Well, it comes with a carbon fiber case that holds 5 cigars. So the carbon fiber case is probably half.
I'll give it to you in cardboard. I'll charge $37.95.
Give it to me to Mazzo.
I mean, how about Jay Domain knocked it out of the park this year? Knocked it out of the park with all their releases.
Pariah blew me away. That little Corona attenuation. Wow.
I still have to smoke my attenuation. I haven't done that one yet, but I've smoked the Corona, the Entropy Corona, and the Pariahs, and that packaging on the Pariahs is
Wait a minute. There's a brand called attenuation?
Yeah, like if your Wi-Fi signal starts to get bad.
So
that's a really good Connecticut because it's not weak and it's not spicy. It's nice medium.
Yeah. I haven't had that one yet, but I had the Connecticut and the Pariah, and I thought that was excellent, that cigar.
I smoked 8 of them. I can't stop smoking them, and my order arrives tomorrow.
They're great people. I
love it when the staff smokes all the cigars. I still get the sale. So that's
I met Jeff and Esteban's son, and they're just great people as well.
Yeah, and that's a brand we're trying to grow.
Aaron. What were the standout things from the show?
Come on, tell them, Aaron. I know what you and John love the most.
The Toscanello Aroma Limoncello.
Big surprise.
It was a good cigar.
Big surprise. When I had it, I was.
Whoa. Repeat that name because it's so fucking long. I need like a decoder.
Toscanello, which is the small Toscano cigars, right? The flavored ones. And it's Aroma Limoncello.
Aroma limoncello. Does it?
It's good.
One of the best
Does it
Toscanos
taste
I've ever had.
Limoncello?
It tastes like you're smoking a lemon tree.
big time.
It was
Like a lemon tree.
Yeah.
Not
It tasted like a cigar too.
The cigar that you recommended was not a premium cigar.
Hey, I have my own definition, I guess.
We smoke everything, buddy.
Yeah.
At the show.
I just want you to know.
They're at the show.
Trying to buddy up to that CAA money, man.
There you go.
Don't give the guy a degree. I mean, that's bigger bucks than we're ever gonna have.
The wildest thing Aaron could have done is just dropped a flavor infused cigar as the best cigar of the show.
Wow.
I need a trip to Italy, so.
Crazy.
And they also gave me coffee and amaretto to go. That was very good.
Yeah.
They had coffee.
Coffee's very good.
I know why Jay likes them. They had coffee.
Big
They
coffee.
start serving chocolate at the booth. Chocolate makes every cigar taste.
Who still has chocolate? He always has those
Oh.
chocolates at the booth.
Luciano did too.
Such a scam. Chocolate.
Yeah.
Luciano had this really good chocolate.
Chocolate
and
makes
vegan
That
chocolate.
chocolate was good at
Cigar tastes
Luciano's
better.
booth. That chocolate was good.
Dude, it makes every cigar taste better. It was a gambit that Ashton did for years at all their tasting events. You give the
Luciano had an
give the
impressive
consumer
booth this year.
chocolate. And no matter what the cigar is, it always tastes better with chocolate in your mouth.
I like that Frank Casio cigar too. I thought that was good. That
I
one.
haven't tried that, so I've made a
I
decision.
just recently
but
had- yeah,
I brought in
I thought it was
a
very
couple
good.
things from him. And the rebranding on the Sergeant was good.
I didn't see the
Not-
rebranding on the Sergeant. Actually, I missed
It's
that.
really nice. They
Not
did a
just
good
because
job.
he's on
Blue to
the-
red.
Not just because he's in the panel tonight, but we did smoke the Calabra from Dunbarton, and
We
I
did
think
too.
we're all-
We did.
Did
We
you
did.
really?
We're all
We did
impressed.
on our live stream. Actually, Steve, it was great. We all loved it.
Yeah, it's a really nice cigar that I fucked up by twisting it.
No, it was
I
it,
asked
wa-
very
it was
nicely
it was
for a
really
sample.
good.
And they gave me one.
It was one of the better Calibras I've had, Steve.
I actually like
Yeah.
the blend so much that I think I'm gonna probably put it like in a normal cigar. Because the blend is really, really good.
Is it a Mi Querida though?
It's a deviation of Mickey.
Okay.
It's not. It's based on Mickey Rita, and I think in some of the podcasts early on, I was saying it was more like Mickey Rita Blue, but I was wrong. It's actually closer to Mickey Rita Black. It's just,
I agree on that.
dude, I
agree
got
on
so many fucking blends in my head, I can't even keep track of them
that.
myself anymore. But
Yeah, Coop, I have an idea for a 5-hour show. You
Yeah.
should have the panel smoke Steve's Calibra and Pete's this year and see which one they like better.
you know what? Had I known Pete was
That'd be fun.
releasing a real Calibra, I wouldn't have done that. Honestly,
He kept it
It was
quiet.
just a
though.
it was just
I
a
thought for sure
re-release.
I'm sure Pete's is much better priced than mine.
No, the
Sure.
monster. It's a monster. It's the creature blend.
Yeah.
It's not.
What
it's
does
not
it even
really-
cost?
What are you talking about?
The Steve Pete's Calibra.
I don't even know how much Pete's Calibra
The Old
is.
Man of the Sea is the only Calibra.
No,
Well,
they
dude,
have Old Man to See
honestly,
Monster. It's
no.
Old Man
Say
to See.
this,
No,
that was
it's
my
not a
that
real
was
cigar.
that was my base.
No, there was
the
two
Old Man
Calibras in the
See
booth.
from like 2012.
John, do
because
you want to settle this?
for me that was like the high watermark. of
I ordered 'em.
Calibras,
It's
right?
the
Was
creature
Old
blend. I
Man
can show.
in the Sea.
I'll pull it right up and show you.
the
I
the
mean-
Calibra was in the case. He
Yeah.
said he made that just to fuck with people.
Right, but there was another Calibra. There was another Old Man to See. It was the monster one.
Yeah,
Yeah, what I was
ordered
saying
it.
is just the Old Man of the Sea.
No, it's the
version.
creature. It's the creature blend.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one, yeah, he was just fucking with everyone on.
Yeah.
But let's get real. Calibra is a novelty. I'm gonna
Yes.
sell it. I
You're not
sold
selling
a
a
bunch
bunch.
of them at the trade
100%.
show. They will all sell well for the retailers that were foolish enough to buy them. And in the end, there will be barely any reorders on a Calibra. It's a novelty cigar. It's what it is. I mean, it's not it's not like a real thing, a Calibra.
Yeah, I think for us, because we don't necessarily get a lot of chance to smoke, like by the time we smoke a new cigar on the floor, it might be the fourth, fifth cigar of the day. So it's incredibly difficult to determine any sense whatsoever of the goodness, subjective goodness of a cigar that far into the day. But I will say that certainly there was a selection of cigars that I brought back that I'm excited to try, and yeah, like Aaron said, it'll be interesting to work through them. Because I don't know if I've just been going to too many trade shows, but I don't think there was anything from a new company that necessarily blew me away. I think it was companies that expect to produce good cigars are still producing good cigars.
We all
And
roll weeds into a tube. Let's get real.
Yeah.
It's the same shit for the last 2 centuries. There is nothing that is.
I'll tell you a cigar that I liked at the show that we ordered, and I've already sold through my allotment. As I ordered the Gellis cigars, and I have not worked with Wort for a few years. So this is hopes for you, Mike. And I just like the packaging, and I like the fact that it was made at Naxa. So I handed it to a couple customers and said, you should buy this. It's made at the same factory as a lot of Steve's Mi Querida product, and it's going to have good quality construction. And one guy was
their
like,
number
wow,
one advertiser. Do you know that?
I believe it.
Crown Heads is making product there. Warped is making product there.
But that's been already selling.
Scanner is now making product there.
Yep.
That was the shitty factory that nobody was willing to make cigars at.
Well, you showed Gus how to make more money. But like the one guy today, he was going to buy a box of Rocky Patel, and he liked the Gellis so much, he bought a box of Rocky Patel and a box of the Gellis. So that cigar, the customers are already responding to. I'm going to have to reorder. And a lot of it was because of the legacy that you've built for that factory.
Look, it ultimately makes Gustavo happy. So,
All right. Were there any spectacles at the trade show this year?
Yeah, I have one. Did you see? Were you there with Fuente Summer of Love?
We saw it.
Yeah.
But,
I
weren't-
never. Yeah, I mean, just seeing the whole Fuente crew in like Hawaiian shirts.
the
and-
Hawaiian shirt thing, yeah.
and promoting a sampler. I mean, I know that it's part of a big retail program, but I never saw a sampler kind of get a launch like they did at the booth this year. I thought that was a spectacle because I never saw something like that before. And Fuente was really behind that. They're doing the Summer Love contest for retailers to do some merchandising and stuff. And I guess if you participate in it, you're going to get this sampler of Rare Fuente. And if you looked at the packaging on it, it's very un-Fuente-like too, that packaging. I thought that was a big surprise, actually, to me. I happened to be over at J.C. Newman when that was going on.
Nice. Anything
It's
else that
like
kind of
saying
would qualify as a
Summer of
spectacle?
Yeah, there were a couple of reps from a particular company, I will not mention the name, who got into a street fight with some drunk dude, and I saw band-aids on their noses the next day. So that was a
Okay.
spectacle, but I won't mention the company.
I think it's out there already, but I'm not going to mention it either. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to go look this up now.
Yeah, I
come
guess.
on. What are you
I remember
kidding
seeing
me?
someone with a
What
band-aid on their
what
nose,
sort
but I
of
don't
teasing
remember.
bullshit is this? I thought you were all
Yeah.
about facts,
Thought-
media
I thought
guys.
this was
Yeah.
media.
Hey, I do not want to embarrass the
That's not
Rocket Cup
that's not a
Well,
trade
it's
that's
not
not a
your
trade
job.
show.
It's-
That's not a trade show issue
Coop's
though.
job to spill the beans.
Yeah, but that's not a trade show issue. If that happens after hours, if it happened on the floor, it's a different story.
I mean,
I'm surprised National Guard didn't step in. They're on every corner. I figured they would have nipped that in the bud right away.
that's true.
I actually was thinking that too.
And who was the dude that had his hair like this that stuck up like 4 feet?
Oh yeah, that was entertaining.
I mean, one of the best stories out of New Orleans to this day is the fact that Matt Booth got blackout drunk and thought he lost his wallet. And that is an epic story for PCA, without question.
Let's be real. Matt Booth getting up on Sunday morning will ultimately become an epic story. He has an amazing talent at spinning a yarn. I mean, man.
All right. Attendance. I think we talked a little bit about this earlier, that day 3 was still pretty good in regards to that. But in regards to any additional items, though, years prior, we've had media in on other badges. I don't know that I saw a lot of that this year. Coop?
Not as much of that as, like I said, consumers. I don't think I saw any media people with invalid credentials, but like I said, it was others I saw on there who were consumers. So
What's weird about that is you say invalid, and I say welcome to the show.
Well, I think it's just more about the fact that there's
Steve, let me kind of break this down and why it's a problem, okay? Because if a manufacturer gives a consumer a badge, guess what? They're on the trade show floor before a lot of people, before
And I
retailers.
would argue that it's not manufacturers, it's retailers.
Oh, it's a lot of manufacturers. Trust me. It's. I would say it's both, but I can tell you there's manufacturers who are doing it too.
Look, I obviously am not in charge of doling out samples, so I don't really know who's hitting us up and not hitting us up. But
So what's the problem with them being on the showroom floor before?
Why can't I be? Why can't I be on?
I don't disagree with you being.
Yeah,
on.
that's my point. And that's the problem. And some of them are actually taking photos of stuff before media has a chance to even do that, and they're publishing the photos.
look, my attitude is the same as Mike's. I want you guys on the show for as many hours you're willing to work.
I would just say, then, like I said,
look
I've
at
gone
you- I look
back.
at you guys as fucking slave labor, man.
Of course we are. I would
want
just
you guys
say,
grinding.
I mean, I keep hearing about insurance reasons. I keep hearing insurance reasons why media
Oh
can't.
yeah, because Coop is a big risk to the entire.
I've offered to sign a waiver. I've offered to sign a waiver. They don't want to do that.
Why don't you carry your own insurance? It's probably nothing. It's probably a couple $100.
I have insurance.
So then there's no reason for them not let you on at that point. You know what I mean?
Agree. I agree. But
so,
regardless,
so what you're saying, Coop, is you're talking about consumers being on the trade show floor before the show actually opens.
Yeah.
During the
Yep.
setup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd be okay with media being on the floor during the setup days. I don't have a problem with that. In fact,
Yeah,
it's probably the time.
it's just like I said. That's the problem with invalid badges. And and on top of that, I paid $750 to badge my team this year, and 2 people didn't come, and they're on for free, getting more access than us. Something's wrong with that, is what I'm just saying.
But dude, what you need to do is you need to suck up and let me get you a Dunbarton badge because I have 40 a year.
Yeah. Hook up with
Well,
them.
I actually said that a couple of years ago to the PCA, and that's when they started looking at this media problem. I said I could just I might as well just get the badges from a manufacturer then, if that's what's going to be allowed. And that's when they started cracking
But
down.
honestly, that's the way it works at CES. That's the way it works at Watches and Wonders. That's the way it works at PAC Expo. I mean, at big major convention centers, most media people don't come in on a media badge. They come
Just
sponsored
make it
by
one way or the
something.
other. As I'm just saying, either if you're going to do that, enforce it.
Here's
Otherwise,
where
let
you
us on.
Here's where you would have a problem, Coop.
Yeah.
You don't want Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust on your badge.
No, of course not.
Right. So there you
But
go.
the thing is a lot of people do it differently in it though. So they'll put a card in.
We
in the
have
co-
been
in the
offered
holder over
badges
the
from
company
manufacturers
name
to get on
anyway.
early, and I've turned them down because I don't want to be that guy. We have a lot more visibility in some of these other guys. So if they see us on the floor with a Dunbarton badge on on Thursday or
But
Friday.
don't
That's
you
a problem.
think Mike would understand the reason you're wearing a Dunbarton badge is because you want to come into the trade show 2 days early? I mean, he's going to understand that.
But there's people who don't.
Yeah, it's just that,
Yeah,
if
but the
you're
people
fighting
that
to make
don't
it
are the fucking
even.
idiots, right? I mean, let's be real about this.
But I will say this: PCA has been addressing this issue, so it's not something that was ever going to be solved overnight. I think they are addressing it, which is good. But like I said, it's like our costs have gone up so much now to bring people to the trade show. It's when they said they were giving out free badges, it was like one free badge, so everything went up for us.
Look, I've always been of the same attitude. I've been of this attitude since I was at Drew Estate in the early years. I mean, we were probably the first ones to ever like do a blogger event. I mean, my attitude is the more media, the better. It's
Well,
good for
okay,
the
so this
industry, it's good for the brands,
so
it's good for the consumers. There's no downside
yeah,
having more media.
there's none. I agree, and I think it was good that they have a lot of media there. My question is that PCA has gotten into the media game, and I support them doing their own coverage. I do. However, at the same time, they had two crews going around the show. I'd like to understand what ROI they're getting back on that. And if there is an ROI for that, I think it's great. But you have 174 media people, 83 media outlets. You could partner with a lot of these guys. I'm not saying partner with me, partner with some of these other guys, and you could get a lot of good coverage. But they're kind of duplicating what everyone's doing, and I question what
But
the ROI
everybody's
is.
duplicating what everybody's doing.
I know what video coverage is. There's not a good ROI in it. So that's why I'm saying it's expensive. So why I would just want to understand what the ROI is that they're getting on that is my question, especially because they're letting a lot of media people in now, which is good. It's good. I think they need to have the other thing I think they need to do is
Look,
the new people need
I don't know
orientation.
why you feel that way. Look, I always have this conversation with retail. I'm sure Mike has had this too. They want to be an exclusive. Look, and Mike he's actually the terrible person to talk to about this because I made the very foolish mistake early on in the company to exclude Mike as a customer because I had a retailer that wanted me to be exclusive in his area. And it was the only person that I did this for. And it was the only person I did it for. And it was really it was a bad decision on my part that I didn't feel bad about it from a commercial perspective, but I felt bad about it from a personal perspective because it's just so not who we are. I've always felt that, look, retailers have to retail. They have to compete. Look, all of my competitors in every retail shop are within 20 feet of me, right? Period. They just are. And I would never say to a retailer, well, if you want to carry my brand, you can't carry Espinosa or you can't carry Nick at Foundation or anybody because it's just stupid.
Agree.
And so for me, I feel the same way about media that, hey, you all are competitive. You all are trying to capture an audience. You're all trying to attract eyeballs. And look, it's your responsibility to to attract those eyeballs. Look, I get grief from retailers like, oh, Summer of Saka with Abe DeBabna at Smoke Inn, right? But Abe DeBabna doesn't get a better deal than anybody else does. He just chooses to spend his money to make all that extra swag and do
Yep.
this crazy ass thing. I wish all my retailers were willing to do that. So, I mean, in the end, that's him deciding to make the extra investment to do so.
Yeah.
Now, so I mean, look, it's a hyper competitive market. It's hyper competitive on the brand side. It's hyper competitive on the retail side. And honestly, for you guys, it's hyper competitive on the media side. I mean, it's just the
Yep.
way it is,
Yeah.
and
That's why
we all have to fight tooth and nail.
Yeah, that's why we had to change a lot this year. And we had, with the vignettes we were doing, we kept them quiet until actually after the trade show was over, unless people saw what we were doing. Just because, like we said, we were trying to be different. We wanted to just do something different that no one else was doing. And, because we can't, like I said, there's only so much people are going to hear about talking about wrapper binder filler. And, so that's our job as media to be different. So that's on us to do that. I agree with you on that point.
All right, so let's talk about some after hours activities. They had some sponsored stuff. Cuban Creations Warehouse. There was also that Pro Cigar event. Did any of you attend any of those events?
We didn't this year.
Jay, did you go to that Pro Cigar event?
I did not because my brother didn't have a cocktail attire,
Oh, okay.
but I heard a lot of positive
I
feedback.
heard a lot of positive.
Cocktail attire. I don't even know what that means.
Well,
They
he
would have let
didn't
him
have
in.
it,
They
and-
would have
You
let
had
him
to
in.
wear
though.
to get fucked up by drinking booze. I mean, like, I didn't even know there was a.
Well,
They
part
would
of
have
it
let
was-
him in.
requirement.
Part of it was Pro Cigar sent me an invite, and I said I'd like to get tickets for my brother and my wife, and they never got back to me. So I didn't go because I had a rep that wanted to take us out to dinner. But I heard probably from 20 people that it was just an outstanding event, and that it really elevated the trade show. I wish I could have gone.
Yeah, we did not attend, but friends of ours, friends of mine, the Lounge Lizard guys, they went and they said they had a good time. Is a pretty good, typical, well run, I think well attended pro cigar type event, and so I think it was very successful, and I suspect they'll continue to run it if the number of people keep attending like they did.
Did the principals from Pro Cigar go to the?
Yeah.
Or-
Well, I don't know
Pretty
if the
sure,
principal
yeah.
did. I know the staff did. Some of the staff did.
On Sunday night, I went to a soft launch, whatever you want to call it, for Hochi's 90th cigar,
Mhm.
and they had really good hors d'oeuvres. And
And you were hungry when you got to the media house.
well, because they didn't have food.
I didn't.
Just for the record,
They
you guys
had
don't
hors
even
d'oeuvres
invite
and
me to
open
the
bar.
media
Always a
house.
bad mix.
I don't even know where the media house is. I've been excluded.
Me
Ooh.
too. Me
Really?
too.
You too? I mean,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I don't even have the choice to fucking snuff them anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, at least before I get these, I'm snubbing these guys. Oh, I'm fucking. Look, and I can say this honestly. I wish I was Mike's age. I do not have the energy that I had 20 years ago. I mean, I just simply do not. I mean, the trade show just completely wipes me.
I took a much more approach this year. I didn't go to any after hour activities except the dinner we went to with Justin. That was probably my only, because I knew last year when I came back home and I had to go into a doctor thinking I had sepsis again, that I couldn't do that again. So I stayed back this year every night pretty much.
I literally ordered 3 pizzas before the show started, put them in the fridge, and I ate cold pizza 3 nights in a row because I didn't even have the energy to go to a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the later finish to the trade show, we found it's been a lot more challenging. Like in the past, I think we've been able, like when we had a 5 o'clock finish to the trade show, it was possible to do, a post-show event or two and still have time to hang out in the evening. But what we found is that, with the 6 o'clock finish, everyone wants to break to get dinner. By the time you're done dinner, or if you're out for a dinner, it's later. So it makes it very, very difficult to do really more than kind of one keystone event in an evening. And then, if you're back at the house at midnight and you have to be back on the floor, if you're an exhibitor before 9, for us, we have to be there 4-9. It's just made it very, very challenging. So I think we found ourselves attending less events as a result, which is unfortunate, but that's, we also have to be upright on the trade show floor. So
we had to take a much more relaxed. I mean, Trip and Dennis were the late night guys, but they answered the bell. They answered the bell the next morning. So as long as they answered the bell the next morning,
they pulled a full Rocky Patel. They were ready to go. So
what about you, Mike? That you're in the best years of your life and in perfect picture health. I mean,
he sounds it.
Do you grind? Do you do the look? I remember 30 years ago, I was out till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning on most trade show nights, just talking and drinking and bullshitting and whatever the fuck else I was doing. I mean, what about you? Are you able to maintain that kind of rigor?
Hell no. I go out to dinner normally, and then I avoid Skip's text like the plague because I know where it leads. He's like, "Come on, man, just come on." I'm like, no,
6 a.m. conversation.
like no, this is not happening. I'm going to bed. Yeah, it's just not No, dude, it requires a ton of time and energy. Um, I do a pretty good job of maximizing as much as I possibly can. It's just not. I know when to call it. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you got to go to bed. I mean, I don't eat cold pizza and cry myself to sleep, but I'm pretty fucking close. Pretty close.
Dude, wait 20 years.
It doesn't sound like a terrible idea, just for the
Yeah.
record. I'm like, okay, that's not a bad approach. It's not a bad approach. When I go to Vegas, normally what I do for like lunches and stuff is I'll go grill a bunch of chicken and I'll just keep it in bags or whatever. And I usually keep that in the hotel for like late night snacks or whatever. But yeah, you got to go to bed. You got to go to bed, man. You
Yeah.
got to, especially when you're doing all the media interviews.
Oddly enough, I want to ask this question: who gained weight in New Orleans? Because
Oh, yeah. Are you
gained
kidding me?
12 pounds.
Oh my
Holy
goodness,
crap.
that crawfish
I
meal we
did not
had.
gain weight.
Well,
I was
because
able
the
to
crawfish
lose
meal,
Well,
weight.
then
yeah,
you didn't. Yeah, you starved at the crawfish place.
Yeah, I'm on a serious portion control and diet adjustment
Dude,
coming
I've
back
been
from the
eating
show. I
nothing
was out of
but
control.
protein ever since to drop that extra 12 pounds.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
generally I
Go ahead.
generally lose it somewhere between like 10 to 15 pounds, I'd say, per trade show.
Isn't that crazy?
I just don't eat.
Yeah.
You go to dinner and you have a decent meal. That's usually all you cover. You eat a couple protein shakes and you just go. So
Protein what?
protein shakes.
Oh my
Oh,
God. It
Yeah.
just sounds like
yeah.
blood.
Dennis had us covered with snacks on the floor this year. It was really helpful. Those beef jerkies. Okay.
All right. Anything that we did not cover about the trade show that we need to talk about?
Yeah, I'll add one
Yes,
thing.
absolutely. I
All
have
right.
one thing that really pisses me off.
All right. Well, let's Jay go first, then we'll go to Steve. Go
This
ahead,
is
Jay.
I have a
so
weird one too.
Okay.
I got early to the Drew Estate booth for my appointment on Sunday, and I stood in line a little bit before and then after my appointment to talk with Jonathan. And I was really excited to see Jonathan reinvigorated. I was giving him a hard time. I said, "This is like the rebirth of Jonathan Drew." And he spent about a half an hour with me and my wife and my brother going over what he wants to do with JSAN and his vision. And he asked me a lot of pointed questions like, what is Drew Estate doing wrong? And I was honest with him. What are they doing right? How can we proceed? And it was really exciting to see him excited about smoking cigars again, excited about doing something for the next generation. That was a very, very positive experience for me. And then Jonathan reached out after the show and we talked for a while. And, I've known Jonathan for years, but just to get to see a different side of him and to really see where he wants to see his legacy and his company in the next 20 years, I was very impressed and I was very happy to see him reinvigorated. That was a huge positive for me.
Nice. All right, Steve.
See, I'm going to follow up with a total negative, man. This makes me feel like such a.
Let's go, Steve.
All right. John can go next, and then you can go back to you if you want.
Yeah, if you want, I
Honestly,
gotta.
honestly, the PCA hitting us with, hey, we want you to go to fucking Asia on December
Oh.
8th
Yeah.
to do something is like just so absurd to me that I can't even wrap my brain around how fucking dumb a request that actually is. I mean, anybody that plans their year out. I mean, I know in our case, Pur Sabor, TGS, RTD, PCA, listen to me, RTDA, PCA, Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, and Intertabac are the anchors that basically lock in my year. And then everything gets like scheduled around it. And for example, I'm not going to Rocky Mountain because they changed the date.
Yeah.
Not that I care that they're going to a different venue or whatnot, but I can't move everything. So the fact that the PCA would spring this on us at the very last minute about, hey, we're going to do this thing in Asia and we really love everybody to show up on December 8th. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? Good God.
You can fly there after you go to Morocco.
I mean, it's so absurd to me that this is the way that they would introduce something that obviously they consider important. And like, I'm not willing. Look, I do a lot of business out of Hong Kong. Look, we do quite a substantial amount of international sales. That Asian Pacific market is a substantial market for me. I mean, I would love to be able to attend, but there's no way you can drop something like this on me at the trade show for something in this calendar year. So honestly, I don't even know how they can ask that. Now, I'm sure some principles will show, but dude, that is really, really rough. I really, the PCA, like, I'm not opposed to their expansion to Dubai. I'm not exposed to their expansion to the Pacific Rim, but it needs to be planned out a little bit better. Our schedules are just so jam packed that adding something to the calendar in this current year is just, it's physically impossible. It really is.
Yeah. All right, John.
Yeah, so I'm still not sure that Aaron wasn't messing with me, but we were in an Uber, and Uber was pulling up to our house, and June and Aaron start yelling from the back seat, and I have no idea what they're talking about. And so the guy had, video screens in the back seat, and the one of our cigar videos came up on the show on the screen, and I was like, "What? That's weird." And I'm pretty sure Aaron just pulled it up or whatever. But we told the driver, and the driver's like, "What are you talking about?" So he stops the car, runs around to the other side of the car, looks at the video, and he's like, "It's you guys." It's like, "Yeah, that's us." And he's like, I don't understand what's happening right now." And it's like, "Well, that's what we do. That's our video. That's what we're doing."
Dude, you're
And
famous.
Some poor people, all these poor people in this huge black Suburban had to watch Development Palette review videos
Dude,
for the rest of the night.
Thing happened to me today. We had a guy in our yard trimming trees, and I go out and he's smoking a fucking Sober Mesa Brulee.
Oh,
All
nice.
of a sudden he sees me and goes, Saka, really? Like, he had no clue. Like, and I was like totally stunned. I was like, whoa. The tree guy's a customer. God bless, man.
Yeah.
And then of course we cut a deal for the tree trimming.
Yeah, of course. Here's a box. I got one that I throw out. Another story in an Uber. We were driving on the freeway back from I don't remember where, and I look up at the billboard and I saw Brian DeSen's face.
Yes.
And I was like, "That's interesting."
I've always seen pictures of the billboard.
No, I actually saw it on Tuesday with Trip.
I saw it on the billboard before the pictures were put up.
Where was that billboard located? Was it located in a place
I-10.
people would see?
Yeah, right up.
It was on the
turnoff on I-10.
It was a freeway one. So if you were coming from, I think we were coming, or were we coming back? Were we coming back from?
I think we come back from the meeting house. Yeah.
Or
we saw it coming back from Metairie. Actually,
yeah, I think coming back from Metairie towards New Orleans proper was where you would see it. So we saw it twice.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it said the retailer's secret weapon, I think is what it said.
That's what it said. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it said. I saw the picture of the billboard.
Yeah.
The retailer.
It's funny.
So I thought that was interesting.
Again, God bless him, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If it helped his business, I have no problem with it. Yeah.
So if he feels
anyone else could do that if they want, you know.
He feels like that's gonna get him business, then
Absolutely, yeah. If he thinks that's good, and anyone else could take a billboard out, yeah, that's my.
Let's talk about the future.
Wait! I want to hear what Mike's crazy story is from the PC.
Oh, did Mike? Did you have a crazy story?
There was a fight.
A fight. See, there you go. We got
a fight.
Yeah, some guy got into a fight with a drunk guy at a bar. But we have
really?
no idea who it is. They're not disclosing the intel. I have to go and figure this out.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about.
Wait. Is this a cigar industry fight?
Yeah, it was one half of cigar industry fight.
Oh, I love those.
But no one's telling me who it was.
Maybe we'll do it after dark. We'll save for an after dark, and we'll find out. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Come on, media, do your fucking job.
All right.
That's not the trade show.
The future, 2027 and 2028 are in Vegas, early March. So we're going even earlier. Thoughts on Vegas? Back to Vegas. Thoughts on early March?
Sucks.
All right.
In fact, I told you I'm gonna have a conflict next year for the first time. I don't know how I'm gonna pull it off. I mean, the team will be there. Whether I'm there the whole time is gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a problem with. I mean, but that's a personal thing. I just think going to Vegas in early March is like not a
Same
great time.
shit. Why not?
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold there at night. And I'm gonna say this: we are not going to St. Louis anytime soon. That is the biggest myth I'm hearing.
Dude,
They're not going to St. Louis.
first week of March is just ridiculously early.
Yep.
I don't even know what.
One snowstorm will shut down the airport network too.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of us have problems flying that time of the year. Even people that are in southern climates, they have to make connections. That's a problem, number one.
Yep, that's
But
exactly.
number two, the real problem is retailers are fucking broke in the first week of March. I mean, it's just like like what I don't understand is the PCA board is comprised of retailers.
Mhm.
And the fact that they don't understand that the first week of March is a bad idea just
They,
blows me away. I mean, it's like mind-numbing to me how just terrible that date is. And from a manufacturer's point of view, it's horrifically bad because November, we're crunching to finish what we have on order. The factories and the box makers are pressed to close out the year. You then have the shutdown. You then have the first month of the year, and I can only speak about Nicaragua. But when Nicaragua opens, they don't fucking want to talk to you for the first 2 weeks because they're starting their factories up. Then we're right into Puro Sabor, which sucks up another 2 weeks of time. I mean,
PGS.
you literally have 1 month of like actual like this is the window that I'm supposed to get shit done, and literally you really have to be like I can tell you right now, the week 1 March schedule has me working on the next PCA products literally right fucking now.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so crazy. And the fact that I know that like 80% of my retailers are going to be broke the first week of March, like I can't even wrap my brain around it. I don't give a fuck about this is the only time we could get. Look, put me in a fucking cow field in fucking Kansas in a reasonable time, and it'll be better for business than the first week of March. Literally, I like it's like the Macau thing in December 8th.
Yeah.
This to me is just an unfathomable decision. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't care. Like charge me twice as much for my booth space in May. Just like make something that makes sense make sense. Because the first week of March to me makes zero sense whatsoever.
I think it'll be. I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think.
I hope you're right, Mike. I
I,
mean,
I
look,
mean,
going
just
to Vegas is going to help. It's a change of venue, but I have another complaint about that.
yeah.
I mean, but still, it's too early in the season.
Well, I mean, but kind of getting back to what you said earlier, you had a good Q1. I think a lot of brand owners and manufacturers that are smart and know how to have a good Q1, they'll do well. And another thing that you do well is, like you said, you project out, you commit the brand, the retailer for the year. Now you're a little bit further ahead. Is it going to be a little bit of a crunch? Yeah, but I think that it'll actually be more advantageous for you. I think that when we review, you're going to say, you know what, it sucked and I had to work harder, but it turned out being pretty good.
Dude, I'm old. I don't want to work harder.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Um, as far as Vegas, I fucking hate Vegas. I've never liked Vegas. It is what it is. It's just part of the existence that is for PCA.
Let me ask you
Um,
this, Mike.
yeah.
Separate of Vegas or New Orleans or excluding St. Louis, because that's just a fucking stupid
That's
idea.
not happening. It ain't
Right,
happening.
but
It,
I
it,
mean,
it ain't happening unless one of the venues fall through.
I know as a manufacturer, ideally what I would like is I'd like for them to just find a host city and leave us there.
Yeah. That would be brilliant. I think, Florida would be great. Florida makes sense for a lot of brands, a lot of manufacturers. Um, I think Texas isn't a bad option. Middle of the country per se. Um, like I would like to see that. I argued a few years ago that really would have been awesome is PCA investing and buying in a big piece of land and developing their own kind of infrastructure where they would charge for storage. Everything would kind of be on, and then there would be as long as it's located close to hotels, like you could cut all this convention bullshit to a fraction of the cost, and all of it would go to the PCA profits. It's a long-term investment, and it would take some time to create, but I think that would be the ideal scenario. One place, and it's theirs. You know, and then
I'm not opposed in any way to that idea.
yeah, um, I mean, Josh should have to take a pay cut.
Look, I'm even willing to go north of St. Louis if that's what it requires.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Steve, the only reason why it left Vegas in the first place, and the only reason why it's like that, everyone wanted that early date. That's the only reason why it moved.
Yeah, but we didn't want that early a date. We wanted a spring
But
date. March, the first week of March is fucking winter.
well, they what they could have
It's
did is
fucking
finish
Game
out
of
the
Thrones.
summer months, and then they could have booked out these things afterwards. That's what I would have did. Like finish out the Vegas thing. Okay, if we only could get that July,
But
finish
here's the
that out.
problem, Coop. We're going to Vegas for 2 years to then go back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
It isn't like we're going back to
I
Vegas
understand. Yeah,
permanently.
I'm just saying that's why it happened.
And let me say this, as consumers, listen to everyone that's listening to this podcast. Every time they move the trade show, you are paying more for your cigars. Period.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. I mean, every time they relocate the trade show, you are paying more for your cigars. And the smaller you are as a company, the more they have to charge to absorb that change of venue. I mean, it's just a fact. And it's just an added expense that doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't benefit the retailer, it doesn't benefit the consumer, and it certainly doesn't benefit me. Fucking pick a place, make that the place. Let's do it. Let's go forward. Whether that be the PCA creating their own land and putting up whatever they need to put, or whether it's a long-term deal with Vegas, or whether it's a long-term deal with New Orleans, or whether it's a long-term deal with wherever the fuck they want to put it. But just put us in a place where it can be consistent, because that will actually make it easier for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, Jay is going to tell us the counterpoint to my rant.
Well, let me first say that I don't care when the trade show is or where it is. If it was in Calgary in February, I'd go.
That's
that
a terrible
being said,
idea, just for the record.
I know.
That's about the worst venue you could possibly imagine.
There was a division on the PCA board about having such an early date. Thankfully, I was not at the meeting where that was discussed this year. I will say that people have some very bad information about where we can do a show. We cannot, despite what people say in the comments, do a trade show in Tampa. The space is not enough.
There's not remotely enough space.
We can't do one in Miami because they won't give us an exemption.
And it's too expensive.
Fort Worth does own a building not subject to the Clean Air Act that we could do, and I'm still not 100% sure why that didn't happen. They need to get to the
I don't think
city
it's a
council,
convention center, Jay. That's why. I don't think you need a convention
There is a
center.
convention center in Fort Worth.
But that's
and
not
you
where they
have
were
people-
looking.
Yeah, they were, because I was at the meetings with
Okay.
people from the mayor's office. And there are people like Al McAuliffe that were willing to put their political weight to get it done. And I'm not sure why Fort Worth didn't happen. St. Louis, that's good that there's because you can't do it in Fort Lauderdale either. There's not enough space. So basically right now it's Vegas and New Orleans.
So,
I do
Jay,
agree with
here's my
Steve.
question to you.
It'd be great to have it in
Why
one
am I
place.
going to Vegas for 2 years to then have to go back to New Orleans?
And then you're only in New Orleans for 1 year and then go back to Vegas. A lot of it, honestly, a lot of this, if you want to be completely honest, and this is probably going to piss people off that I'm going to say it, the PCA made a decision back in 2020 to lay off their staff. And so they didn't have staff for a period of time. Now, they did have Scott and Josh working. And then when Lisa came back, Lisa was pregnant. And what happened after COVID is a lot of companies secured a lot of convention spaces for the next 10 years. That coupled with the Sands only wanting to work with us the week of July 4th and sign a 5-year contract, that coupled with the Las Vegas Convention Center doing a remodel that drastically reduced dates. So I will say that some of this may be the PCA's fault, but a lot of it was just circumstances. And it's easy to look back in 2026 and say, oh, you shouldn't have laid off your staff. Well, at that time, they're trying to keep the organization alive. So
Yep.
I understand why the decisions were made. I can tell you that they're trying to work out a better model. And I don't remember all the details, but there's a reason why we could not do New Orleans 2 years in a row. 30 is still up in the air. And I'm not on the board anymore. And that'll come up in committee calls, and I'll be on later this
From
year.
my end, I don't care where the trade show ultimately.
You just want it one place.
I just want it in one place. I just
So
wanted a
can someone give the
consistent time of
PCA
year.
$250 million to build a complex that could house a trade show that they would use once a year, and then they have to figure out some other way?
Yeah, and then they have
and
to be
like
in the
Forum
business.
Club.
Well,
Yeah,
first
that
off,
bit-
if you're
the business of
spending
maintaining that
250
wouldn't
million
work.
a year, hire me and I'll get it done for like
I mean,
much less.
I know, for example, like one of the things that Jerry Jones has done very well here in Dallas is how do you fill up Jerry's World the rest of the year? But I know that they went to Churchill Downs and they said no. They went to Indianapolis to do it in the Dome, and they initially said yes, and they said no. They've tried a lot of different things. So I know the PCA has been trying, and I think the PCA would like nothing more than have 5 years in Vegas, then followed by 5 years in New Orleans. But there are a lot of limitations. That being said, as
I would be
a
willing to
retailer,
live
I
with
don't
a
give a shit.
5-year shift, but every time, look, I have a
It
relatively,
costs money.
I have a relatively small booth, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look, it's physically large, but I mean, what I have to ship from
You
point
gotta
A to
store it
point
and ship it.
B is relatively simple. I mean, I got a quote to transfer my stuff to Vegas this year, and it was 25K. I mean, 25K, I've got to average that across 2.4 million cigars. I mean, that's like a real that's like a real cost
Mhm.
to me, which ultimately sadly gets passed on to you, which ultimately then gets margined and passed on to the consumers.
Yep.
And it just seems like an unnecessary expense that isn't benefiting anybody in the chain. The only people it benefits is the shipping companies, right? Like, in fact, I'm leaving my stuff in New Orleans right now, hoping the energy costs go down,
Yeah.
that 25K shipping cost I can get it down to like 14,000 or something like that. But I think that I think that, and look, I don't think people think about these pennies sometimes. They really add up. And sadly, once they move through the chain, they make everything more expensive ultimately for the consumer, which is a problem. And it doesn't benefit me. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit anybody. It certainly doesn't benefit the consumer. So trying to find a way to make this a little more efficient, to make it a little more simplistic, ultimately is good for everybody in the equation.
I agree. And I would say that if I was in your shoes, I would call people like Michael Herklotz, who's on the executive board, and George Rico and Christian Arroyo, and I think Alan Gold is still on the board, who are manufacturers on the board that vote for these dates. And they have similar concerns. And talk to them. They could probably give you a lot more of the real politique as to what's available, what's not available. Uh, you're right. It sucks. It's not ideal. We are a microscopic industry. Um, and New Orleans has been a very positive experience. Though I do think next year the Fontainebleau will be nice if you can get a room there because they don't have a lot of rooms for the first year. Um, as a retailer, it's easy for me to say I don't care. I'll go to Calgary. I don't. This doesn't bother me.
Good. Look, I've always been of the
You really
I'm
won't
fine
come
going
to
to it.
Calgary.
I've always been of the
Anyway.
opinion that if you're a retailer in our industry, you need to go to the trade show. Even if you don't go to buy, it's your responsibility as a retailer to go to the industry, walk around, look, talk to people. There's an intrinsic value in that. So look, I was very happy to see that the retailer badge number was, what was it, Coop? 950 this year?
Bad. It was like 976, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just sent us all the numbers today. So
That's a good number.
it was a good number, right? So I've always felt that if you're part of the industry, look, I can say as Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, when the ROI doesn't make sense for us to have that 20 by 50 booth, there might be a point in our future where we'll be a 20 by 20 booth and it'll just be me and Lafferty, me drinking and him not drinking, right?
Yeah.
I think attending the trade show, if you're in our business, I think it's your responsibility to show up, right? Period. I can't fathom the retailer that says to me it's too expensive. Like if you're in this industry, you just spend $3,000 between hotel and airfare and whatever you're going to eat that week. You at least need to show up, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't buy anything, because it's
I
just
agree.
it's part you learn a lot of the trade show that's separated from the buying perspective of the trade show. Look, we all know that, look, we don't even offer PCA anymore. We offer this is the month of April. This is what we're launching. This is the thing. Boom, boom, boom. So I think that, but I always get a little peeved, even like with some of my best customers. Look, they place the orders, and I'm glad to take their money. But I'm peeved when I see certain retailers not make the extra effort that it takes to come to the trade show. And there have been some like major retailers that I have badgered to convince them that you need to come even though you don't need to come, right? Because I think it's really important that you show up, you show face, you have these conversations, you meet with people, you talk. It's a really like you can't be in the business. You can't be in the business if you're not willing to make the investment of
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 days or 6 days of your time every year to do this.
I got a
So
question.
No.
I believe
I-
that the trade show is a critical component to the health of our business. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say something. I'll let Mike go first.
Thanks, Jay. I have a crazy hypothetical for you. If for some reason Cuba opens up and it becomes back into the new world, right? And demand increases double, call it 6% population instead of 3. Is it possible that now some of these other states and these locations reconsider opening up to a cigar convention?
Yeah. You want to hear my crazy idea that I proposed in 2022 and I got outvoted 17-1?
Tell me.
Choose a city that is geographically central, that has a lot of cigar shops, and have a trade show and don't have smoking on the trade show floor. If you want people to taste your samples, I get a lot of emails before the trade show. Send the samples out. People smoking before the trade show.
Dude,
We can all survive 3 days without smoking.
Jay. You're telling me I can't smoke cigars for 3 fucking days?
But
No,
I'm saying,
they're not.
no, you smoke at night at the local cigar
Oh
shops
my
or wherever
God,
they get a
it's
big
like a
venue.
shot in
Jay,
the heart.
it also needs to
But
be
you know
in
what?
a.
That solves the problem.
He's
It
eating
needs to be in a
It could be
convention. It needs to be in a convention city.
But you
It
could be in
needs to be-
Nashville. You could be in Fort Lauderdale. You can be in Philadelphia. You can be in Chicago at McCormick Place. You just don't smoke on the trade show floor, but you have to be the venue set outside at night where you can smoke outside in tented areas.
I
That could be
understand why you were
figured
going
out.
No,
down 17
I
to
don't
1.
like
Well,
that
I'm saying
either.
that's the solution.
It-
And I smoke 8 to 10 cigars a day. And you know what? I can survive without smoking until 6
I
o'clock
can
at night.
survive, but dude,
I'm
Looks
there.
like it's
I'm
No,
there
22 to
you
1,
have to be
Jay.
able to
My
see,
days
smell,
talking
taste
to
product.
guys
Yeah,
like,
I think
"Dude,
you're up on
dude,
22
God,
to
you
1,
want me
Jay.
to do that without smoking a
What
fucking
I'm saying
cigar?
is, instead of me getting sick,
You would have nobody going to the show, Jay. Nobody would go.
45. What are we
Can
talking
you guys
about
shut the
here?
fuck up and let me finish? You send the samples ahead of time. So let's say you're going to do a show in Nashville the first week of May. The first week of April, you send out your samples. Everybody sends me all these freaking emails. Send me your samples, send me your price sheets, send me your deals, and say you can only get these deals at the trade show. I go to the trade show to build my business. I don't give a fuck how many cigars I smoke. That solves the problem, and you can be in one location every year. And if people can't man up and not smoke, then deal with it.
Then just do New Orleans or Vegas every year
I'm
and
gonna
just
raise
figure
my
this
hand.
out.
I'm a
There you
pussy.
go. That's where we're at.
I'm a pussy.
22-1. I got outvoted.
You know
But
what
I'm
is
just saying
kind of
that's the solution.
you know what is kind of interesting is if you're paying attention on some of the social media platforms, you're starting to see a push, not for cigars, but for the health benefits of nicotine consumption. So I'm kind of curious to see what direction that goes in and where that leads us in the next 5 to 10 years. Because realistically, what you need is you just need cigars to become socially acceptable. If they're socially acceptable, then all the doors are open. So,
Well, things change. Look at marijuana 30 years ago versus today.
yeah, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing it. And it, I mean, a lot of it's more that pouch shit and that other stuff. But we're actually having an intelligent conversation now about nicotine. So, and at least challenging the old way. So, I think that it's very possible that some of these places will do an about face in less than a decade's time. It just has to become more socially acceptable.
I mean, it was a big thing this year that Josh was on the local news in New Orleans promoting this trade show.
Yeah,
That was a big, that was a great thing he did this year.
Mm-hmm.
it's
That's
shit
how,
like
And
that's how you
tell
got to
them
do
and
that
it.
eat it
we're
with
going to
eat it at the
Vegas
governor's
next
mansion.
year. I mean, I mean, you're promoting it, but you're saying, "Hey, we're leaving you."
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think it was, they also mentioned they were coming back. They said,
Yeah.
yeah, they also mentioned they're coming back.
Yeah, just the positive exposure is good. You are right to some aspects of
look, I
hey,
agree 100% with that, but I mean, ultimately, I just want us to find a home. That's what I want as a brand owner slash manufacturer. I just would be very content. And even if, look, the trade show expenses are not the booth expenses. They really aren't. It's all the ancillary expenses that really contribute more to the cost. So worrying about the cost per square foot is not actually the biggest expense to the exhibitors, in my opinion. I mean, Mike can chime in on this because he's in the same camp as I am, but I mean, that for me, that isn't actually a concern. So if you told me I had to pay twice as much for my booth space, would I be happy about it? No, I wouldn't. But at the same time, if it put me in a place at the right time of year that made sense and we were consistently there, then I would be perfectly fine with it. I mean, look, I obviously just speak as myself. I can't say that for everybody else, but how do you feel, Mike, about that? I mean,
I mean, yeah, like my argument, I have, like the people who I work with, their materials are not light at all, because light stuff is not craft.
Yeah.
So we pay a fuck ton of money for shipping and for crate and for carrying, and it does suck. And uh, I always, dude, I loved the Caldwell approach when he did that one day. He's like, all you gotta do is go to Walmart, get some tables, get some chairs, return them when you're done. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, that is hilarious. Because like you're right, the expenses are atrocious, and moving back to Vegas is gonna be atrocious, and only for doing it for 2 years sucks. Uh, you know, but yeah, I wish there was an alternative.
look, Jay, storage in Vegas is more expensive than storage in New Orleans.
Big
But
time.
it isn't just the cost of moving everything, but it's also the cost of keeping it there too.
Absolutely.
And look, at anybody that has like Mike is talking about, has any sort of substantial weight that they're worried about drayage, they all have those storage costs that are part of the equation.
Right. So,
I don't, okay, guess my complaint, Jay, is with the manufacturer representatives on the board. Christian, you suck. Let me just say,
boom.
love you, Christian,
Shots
but come
fired.
on, you can do better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I said,
Hey, Christian wanted to do the show in February. We all told him hell no.
it's
So
just, look,
pour that fire.
it's just, I don't like us adding costs that are unnecessary.
I agree.
Because we're in
I
this,
don't know what the
we went
solution
from
is.
hyperinflation into a tariff model. And the last 4 years have just completely sucked for everybody. It sucked for us on our end. It sucked for the retailers. It sucked for the consumers. And everybody wants more affordable cigars. But we as an industry the things that we can control, at least, let's try to control them. I mean, I can't.
Well, there's the George Brightman proposal.
Oh,
Just
good
do the
God.
trade show in Nicaragua or the Dominican. Then everybody will bitch about how much it costs to fly there. And ultimately, that may be where the industry goes. I don't know.
I don't know. More dysentery.
The problem is you take money from the UN and you have to adopt anti-smoking things. I gave you my solution. You didn't like it, so 22-1.
Well,
Yeah,
you also floated Calgary, Jay. So I'm not sure that's
the idea of not being able to smoke. That's just
No, I would like I said, I would choose a town, and Chicago is a bad example. I would choose a town that has a very robust cigar scene, and then do some of the stuff like we did in Orlando in 2012, where you get tents out and you figure it out. The most important thing to me is the networking
Jeff.
and the
He's a
buying.
great customer, but ultimately, Orlando's kind of like it feels to me like it's a one venue city. So
Everybody had wet balls when they left that city. That's all I'm going to say.
Wet balls. You were
A lot of
inspecting
talcum
their
powder got
balls?
sold.
dude,
It was 95% humidity, and the temperatures were almost Dallas hot.
I have to tell
That
you,
was awful.
that was the city that I discovered that product that you can put on your balls to prevent them to sweat. So yes,
There you go.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Sweaty balls.
Sweaty balls.
The other solution
product.
that's been brought up, but they won't let them do it. Just fucking appoint Abe DeBevna to run the trade show and don't get in his way, and he'll do it better than any of us. And you know what? Abe probably would. So we just need Abe to become master of the universe and run it. We'll just go to Boynton Beach every
The
year.
universe.
He'll get rid of the lines at the opening party. I guarantee that.
Let me say this: that idea works for me.
Works for me.
There'll be no lines at an opening party. I guarantee that.
All right. I think we've gotten to the end tonight. Otherwise, we're going to go
Yes.
another hour and a half or so. So,
Abe for president.
yeah. So I want to thank all you guys for joining again tonight. I had a very good, lively conversation here. I'm
Hey,
sure
Aaron,
we
I
could
apologize for derailing so much.
No. It was good conversation.
conversation.
You think that they didn't expect that you were going to derail this motherfucker for 1
Dude,
second?
I'm a half bottle in the log, for God's sakes. What do you
That's why we
expect?
started at 9 instead of 10.
They know what they
Yeah.
signed up for.
Yeah. All right. So thank you again. Hopefully we can reconvene next year for similar discussion, or maybe we'll
would
pop
love
up
that.
another one of these in 6 months to cover all these other topics that we brought up that we want to get deep
I'll be
dives into.
crying in my cup about my Vegas losing losses. I mean,
There
Hey,
you go.
Real quick. Okay, so before we go,
Yeah.
I had Howie. You guys know Howie G?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so I gave him a ride. He got stuck, and I gave him a ride, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait to be back in Vegas." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I could see that." I go, "There's only one guy I know who'd be more excited than you." And before I finished the sentence, what did he say? Do you know who it is? You guys know who it is.
More
No,
excited
Alan
to go to Vegas?
to be in Vegas.
Who?
Eric fucking
Alan.
Espinosa.
Oh, Eric
Oh,
Espinosa.
yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Of course.
Eric loves
Yeah.
Vegas.
Dude,
Yeah.
it fucking cost me $1,000 on a corporation on this one. Corporation, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bro.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you guys, everybody watching, everybody listening after the fact. It was a great time. Hope you come back for the next one that we do. Thanks again to all you guys. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Always a pleasure.